JackpotCity.net today on your tablet, laptop, or mobile. Jackpot City, a whole world of casino games. 18 plus. Please play responsibly. This is not a gambling website.
Tackle winter weather with the X-Series snowblowers from Cub Cadet. Available in single, 2, and 3-stage models, the X-Series is engineered with powerful engines to quickly break through snow. Select models come with additional features like power steering for ease of handling and heated hand grips for comfort in cold conditions. Be prepared for winter with the Cub Cadet X-Series. Stop into Highline Motorsports, your locally owned Cub Cadet dealer at 4715 39th Ave in Wetaskiwin for expertise in finding the right equipment for your landscaping needs.
Sports Radio is back.
McDavid trying to come in with speed. Here he comes. McDavid shoots. Top shelf. He scores. The Oilers captain with the overtime winner.
The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Third down and 8, 10th play of the drive, end zone, touchdown, Cooper Kupp.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Zibanejad, Panarin gets the pass and shoots. Vincent Yurchuk on a deflection.
Happy Hump Day. Welcome to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, coming to you live, also on Oilers Nation YouTube. Join the conversation there. Of course, you can text us 833-401-1440. The Jason Gregor Show, as always, is presented by our title sponsor, PlayAlberta.ca, where, hey, get in the game. The puck is dropped. Now you can get into all the new odds boosts they have. You can try those. Of course, Lotto 649, Casino, you name it. They have it all. And use your GameSense, gamesense.ab.ca. I am Jason Gregor. He is Connor Halley. And, oh, what a difference 24 hours makes. Yesterday, can't believe the coach is loading up the top line. It's terrible. Now today, hey, do you think Nugent Hopkins, Hyman, and Fogle can be a really good second line? Oh, I love the roller coaster of emotions for sports fans. I don't think there's anything else that will take you on a ride like that from one day to the next. But the Edmonton Oilers, the most obvious thing last night that Leon Draisaitl was going to score. It's a no-brainer. The guy is absolutely on fire. Did you know Leon Draisaitl is the only active NHL player who is averaging exactly 1 goal per game against an opponent when they've played them at least 20 games in his career? Now, he's had to go on an absolute heater to get to that because he now has 24 goals in 24 career games against the Nashville Predators. Right? It's pretty impressive. So I look at where he is now and potentially what's going to happen the next 5 years, who knows? Now, eventually he's going to slow down. You can't score at this rate against one team. At some point, it'll slow. Now, it might not slow down for a long time. Wayne Gretzky, in 69 games against the Kings, had 60 goals. And then he got traded to LA. So that slowed it down. Now, he did play them a few times late in his career as a member of St. Louis and the Rangers, but not nearly as much. Most of that damage came as a member of the Edmonton Oilers. So Leon Draisaitl has 24 goals in 24 games. And he's been able to do that because he has scored 22 goals in the last 12 games, which, do the math, means he had 2 in his first 12 against the Preds. Now he's on an absolute heater. 4 points. Like, this guy is getting 4-point games, 5-point games, 3-point games for fun right now. Absolutely for fun. It is crazy to see. Zach Hyman, 4-point night. Ryan Nugent Hopkins, 3 points. McDavid, Fogle, 2 points. And Jack Campbell, 42 stops. The interesting thing about Jack Campbell is, and I've said I thought Jack Campbell played very well in the preseason. He allowed 1 goal a game. So if you look at Jack Campbell now, he's made 5 starts if you want to include preseason. And his starts were on the road against teams where they had majority of NHL players in the lineup. In his 5 games, he has a .950 save percentage. And that includes the game against Vancouver. Because in the other 4 games, the other 240 minutes. So you have 240 minutes or you have 27 minutes. Everybody knows sample size. Al loves the sample size. I know it's early, but Jack Campbell has looked really poised the majority of his time in the crease. He was excellent early in that game. I thought he was excellent throughout that game. You don't see the scorpion save very often from a goalie. That's when you know things are going well. But even listening to him post-game, he talked about how, he's learned just let it go. The game in Vancouver didn't go how he wanted. It's not like he let in terrible goals, but knowing him, he's probably say, hey, maybe I could have made a save here or there. Even one more might have made a difference. But he bounced back and he was excellent early. And then even when the Oilers got up, they gave up a lot of chances. And he stood on his head. He was outstanding. And now they had a day off today. I'm sorry. There is 0 chance I'm starting Stuart Skinner tomorrow. Oilers need to get in on a little bit of a run here. If you want to start Skinner at home, maybe. And I know someone will say, well, Philly's an easier opponent. Easier, schmeezier. Right? Was Anaheim an easier opponent when they beat Carolina 6-3? No, you never know. To me, I'd roll with the guy who's going hot right now, and Jack Campbell has been really good. You just look at the overall 5 starts he's had. It's been excellent. All right. Even if you want to include the 27 minutes against Vancouver, he has a .950 save percentage in 5 games this season, preseason, regular season. And as mentioned, he played Seattle's full line. But when he played in Calgary, they had a lot of Calgary's top 6 forwards going. He's been tested and he's played very well. I thought Philip Broberg. I know there was lots to talk about the offense. I liked Broberg last night. He's a lot more assertive. It's a good sign. Now, the Oilers weren't great, but here's the thing. They don't have to be great every game in every facet. That's not reality. Okay? It's not reality. The Vegas Golden Knights, they won in the playoffs, even sometimes when they got spanked a few games by the Edmonton Oilers in that series. It's can you be better than your opposition 4 out of 7 games? Doesn't mean you have to be great in all 7. So I think people have to remember that when you're analyzing the Oilers. Well, this wasn't good, and that was, who cares? They won 6-1. It's a pretty convincing win. And their second line, Fogle, Nugent Hopkins, and McLeod, solid game. Would you stick with it? Why not? You can run it for a bit. Who knows? Maybe they'll go on a heater for week, 2 weeks, 3. Who knows? Fogle, prior to scoring, has played quite well. Then he rang one off the bar later. Fogel's had a pretty good start to the season, I thought. And, he's not going to be a guy who's going to capitalize on the majority of his chances. He never has been. Like, he's basically been a 13-goal scorer his whole career. Now, he's never played in the top 6 regularity. So could that extend? Could he become an 18 or 20-goal guy for a year? Probably. I don't think he's suddenly going to be a 30-goal guy. That's, I think, a tad unrealistic. I don't think he needs to be. Like, that'd be a huge bonus. Good for him. He'd cash in. He's a UFA at the end of the season. But Fogels can skate. He plays aggressive enough. Decent defensively. But I like the pace he plays with. He attacks. He moves. And, Nugent Hopkins was solid. Zach Hyman was solid. So, overall, pretty good win for the Edmonton Oilers. And now they go into Philly to take on the Flyers, who shut out the Canucks last night 2-0. So, they're feeling good about themselves a little bit. So, we'll look at that today on the show. We got a loaded lineup for you today. We will hear from Ken Dryden, who will join us. He has a new book coming out. We'll talk about that, but also about his career. He's written a lot of books. And, what's unique about Ken is he came in as this rookie guy and just had an unreal run with the Montreal Canadiens. Kind of came out of nowhere in 71 and then was outstanding in the playoffs. Won a lot of cups with them over the years. but is probably more well-known for his political career and the books he's written over time. So we'll talk to him at 2:20 today. Yurchuk will be by from Motors Nation. Mike Rupp, Levi Weaver will talk MLB. Is this going to be sweeporama in both sides? Man, the Phillies absolutely crushing the D-backs, and the Rangers have yet to lose. They're undefeated in the playoffs. Like, I love unexpected stories. I'd love to see him just keep winning. Be great to see. Spec will be by. We'll also go in the community. GM of the Spruce Grove Saints, Rob Skocdopole, will join us. And it is Who Is It Wednesday. Excited about our guest who's going to be joining us live in studio today. We always like to give you a few hints on who our guest will be. So some of the hints I'll give you to start is this person was an Olympian and also Stanley Cup champion. Has been involved in other sports as well. More on the management side. So there you go. And if you want to think way back when, to different time, you know what? No, I'm not going to say that yet. That'd give it away. So I'll wait. But Stanley Cup champion, Olympian, and involved in management side in other sports. So those are the first three hints on Who Is It Wednesday. Also, reminder to let you know that starting Monday, Help Your Neighbor is back. Not on this station, but on this show. Help Your Neighbor, for those of you who are maybe new to the show, haven't listened, this is your opportunity to gift someone a very meaningful gift. A brand new high-efficiency furnace installed. They'll take out the old one, courtesy of Legacy Heating. Legacy Heating, they do so much in the community. They donate this package. And how it works is starting Monday, we will have a qualifier. We'll do it at the 4 o'clock hour every day. And we will qualify someone new. You then will go into a draw because you, as the gifter, you're going to get a prize. You're going to get some order tickets on a Friday night game in December. Some good seats in the lower bowl, as well as something for your home. And then you will have time to think about who would you gift it to. Can't gift it to anybody in your household. So you can't give it, if you win, you can't give it to your wife, okay? Or your husband, or a common law. Can't do it, right? Has to be to someone outside of your home who owns their house and resides within a 100-kilometer radius of Edmonton. Okay? Those are the only rules. And then we will pick a winner on Monday, November 20th. So we're going to run this for a month. Starts this coming Monday. And then we will have the draw on the 20th. And you're going to be able to call that person and say, hey, guess what? You're going to get a brand new high-efficiency furnace installed in your house. So think about it. You want to find someone, like last year, Kara was our winner. She was a single mom. And, they had some real heating issues in their home. Not just the furnace, but also, actually, there was no insulation in some of the rooms. And Steve volunteered, and he actually put some insulation in for free, which is amazing on top of it. And we really made a difference in someone's life. So that's what we're looking for, someone to help out for sure. You can text us in our Jiffy Lube inbox, 833-401-1440. Hey, guys, I have to say, last night was the first time I really noticed Broberg. He was skating very well. Smooth, fast. See what he can potentially bring to the team in a trade. Very bright future. Well, you know what? It's funny because Matthias Ekholm talked about the one thing he's really been working on with Broberg is be more assertive. Be more assertive. You're a great skater. Get up in the ice. And you know what? If something doesn't happen, you got the speed to get back in. You can get back on defense. You're that good of a skater. And so all of a sudden, when you start to see that, then he's going to be around the play more. He's going to make more plays. He's going to be involved in the play. And to me, that's a good one. Hey, guys, what do you make of Connor Brown's game so far from picks? He looks like a player who hasn't played in a year. The NHL is hard, my man. Now keep in mind that Connor Brown has never been a huge scorer, right? I like the contract. I didn't love the bonus part of the contract. Right? I didn't love it. So, you know what? He was a rarity because he was able to get bonus-laden contract because he basically missed the entire previous season. And to me, Connor Brown, I'm probably going to give him 15 games before I really start to get too concerned about how he's playing. That's the way I look at it. I have realistic expectation. The NHL is hard. When you haven't played a game for a year, I think it's even more difficult, unless you're elite of elite, and he's not elite of elite. So that's where he goes. Hey, Gregor, who got the 3 stars last night? Honestly, I don't look. Rockford. I'm done looking at the 3 stars because the 3 stars have become the biggest joke in the NHL. The home team, it's somebody from the home city, and they basically gravitate towards the home team. It doesn't matter. It's kind of ridiculous. So I'm kind of past the point, Connor, of the 3-star selection. I don't put any emphasis into it anymore because I don't think it matters.
Would you like to know, though? For the listener, it was Leon Draisaitl was first, Hyman second, and Nuge was third.
No, there you go. Well, it's really hard to pick a Nashville Predator last night when you lose 6-1, right? But look at Demko in Philly last night. Demko stood on his head for Vancouver. They lost 2-0, and he doesn't get a star. So, the home team wins, and when the home team wins, even if an opposing team guy has a really good game, they don't get a star. So, and sometimes even if the home team loses, sometimes I've seen 2 stars from the home team. They lose 3-1. You got 2 stars. You're like, pardon? So it doesn't and I believe it weakens the importance of it. We have a tendency to do that in society lately. We want to devalue things by handing it out to everybody. So yeah, there we go. Hey, Greg, is Ralph Kruger going to be on the show today? No. No. I'd like to get Ralph Kruger on the show. But now I don't think Ralph Kruger won a Stanley Cup, did he? I have to look. I'm trying to think. Was he maybe he might have been a consultant with Tampa Bay now that I think about it. But I don't know. Does that really count? No offense to consultants, but not sure it does. 2:18. When we return, Ken Dryden will join us on The Gregor Show on Sports 1440 live and Oilers Nation YouTube.
Silent Rides is one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies. With state-of-the-art motor coaches, we provide our customers with the safest and most reliable ground transportation. Our seatbelt-equipped buses have become the preferred carrier for many local sports teams, tours, corporate outings, and other various travel across Western Canada. For more information and to request a quote, contact Ted Nakamura at 780-940-0880 or visit silentrides.ca.
How do we do it? Well, at Leading Edge Physiotherapy, we invest. Our money and time goes right back into technology and training, and it's all designed to get you back into shape. We invest in people, the people who really care, and they understand how your body works. Then they combine their experience, training, and skills to work with you to help you solve your issues, be it pain in the back, neck, arm, shoulder, heel, literally head to toe. Leading Edge Physiotherapy, always taking new patients because we keep fixing the old ones. Life shouldn't hurt. Find us at leadingedgephysio.com.
They say there ain't no I in team. And maybe so, but a K has a nice ring to it. In fact, 10K is how we roll at the Canadian Brewhouse. The CBH offers a teams and leagues program with a chance at free offers and exclusive deals. Plus, book your fundraising event at our house, and you'll automatically be entered to win $10,000 for your group. Whatever your sport choice, we hope to put 10K in your team, if you know what I mean. Sign up today at thecanadianbrewhouse.com.
The Wolfpack is out this month at Wolf GMC Buick, and the deals on Denali's are spectacular. Every in-stock 2023 GMC Denali is on sale. Terrain, Acadia, Sierra, Yukon. If it's a Denali, it's on sale. Special 0% financing for 48 months on remaining Sierra Denali half-tons. Discounts on all Denalis. Hurry in for best selection and Denali deals that will take your breath away. The exclusive Denali sale on now.
Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
At Fountain Tire, save big during our Road Ready sales event until October 21st. Who wouldn't want up to 25% on select tires and a bonus of $50 off any service? A lizard, maybe? Or a ghost? Restrictions apply, financing available. Book your appointment at fountaintire.com.
Did you strike out on booking Network Travel's 2023 baseball trip to see the Jays play by the Bay in Seattle? Well, registration is now open for the 2024 trip next season. Want to fly in for the Sunday, July 7th game and return the same day? Or do you want to fly in Saturday morning and catch both games that weekend with an overnight stay? Either way, it won't be long before Network Travel has a full count for both options. So book today at networktravel.ca.
Metal Supermarkets presents Good Choices, Bad Choices. Enjoying well-aged cheese? Good.
Decadent.
Well-aged hot dogs? Bad.
Oh, this is not going to end well.
Metal for your next project? Good. Wood or other cheaper alternatives that won't last? Bad. Metal is best from the pros at Metal Supermarkets. Cut to your specifications fast, commercial or residential. The convenience stores for Metal! Southside, West End, metalsupermarkets.com.
Ritchie Brothers Auctioneers presents a massive 3-day unreserved heavy equipment auction at their Nisku site, October 25th to 27th, 8 a.m. Live on site and online. Construction, heavy equipment, trucks, trailers, nearly every industry covered. Register to bid. It's free in person or online. On-site viewing and registration starts October 21st. Timed auction starts October 22nd. Demand for equipment is strong. Contact your local territory manager to consign. More at rbauction.com.
Drive into fall with some sweet savings at Cross Mitsubishi. Right now, get the best rate in the country. 1.99% on select Mitsubishis. And to make things even better, get up to $1,800 in free accessories or no payments for 6 months, and Cross will take care of your first 3 payments. Plus, get a trade-in bonus for $2,000 and free winter tires on all new Mitsubishis. Find these great deals and so many more at Cross Mitsubishi, 34th Avenue and 96th Street, or cross with a K, Mitsubishi.ca.
It's fall, and the leaves are they're gonna fall. But with the Lawnmower Hospital, you're ready with one of the most powerful backpack blowers on the market, the Echo PB90 10T. It makes clearing the yard a breeze, and Echo chainsaws provide power and durability to take on anything tougher. And if you're looking to clean up snow commercially this winter, fleet programs are available. Ask in store. Visit lawnmowerhosp.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. There's something going on every day at OTR on Monday. Bingo Tunes, Taco Tuesday, karaoke on Wednesday, salsa on Thursdays, and live music every weekend on the OTR stage with DJ Kenny K on the Rocks, Jasper Ave in 118.
Sports Radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
2:22 Wednesday afternoon. How are you? Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you as it's time now for our big guest of the day, brought to you by the Junior Prospects Hockey League, an academy-style approach for U14, U15, and U18 hockey players with a focus on skill development and education. Learn more at juniorprospectshockeyleague.com. And we are joined by a gentleman who is, man, he's done a lot in his life. When you read his list of accomplishments, you're like, geez, I might have to do a few more things. Of course, Stanley Cup winner, had a great NHL career. Then he's a politician. And he's been an award-winning author. He's written some of the best books when it comes to hockey and different things than they've ever read. I think many of you have probably read The Game, was fantastic. Hockey and a Life in Canada is another one. Of course, The Life and Death of Steve Montador and the Future. The Scotty Bowman book, Scotty, A Hockey Life Like No Other. He has a new book that's just come out called The Class. Ken Dryden joins us. Ken, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Doing fine, Jason. Thanks. How are you?
I'm excellent, Ken. You know what? I'm really happy to have you on the show because you're such a unique personality. You know, maybe you color outside the lines a little bit of what we'd assume for athletes, and maybe it's an unfair assumption, but you know, like everybody, there is that iconic pose of you standing there. You know, you got your hands on the top of your stick, kind of just being very pensive as a goalie. You know, you get thrown into the fire in maybe the most pressure-packed time for the biggest organization in the hockey world at that point. in 1971. And from the outside, Ken, it seemed like you were super calm. Were you always that calm?
No. And you can hide a lot behind a mask. But I think that mostly when, and I think it's for other players as well, I mean, once the action begins, you're so absorbed in it that you can't be absorbed in yourself anymore, and you don't feel the nervousness or the fear that you might feel beforehand. So again, it's just making the game and making that moment all that you're really focused on, and then when you do, then it's okay.
So I want to get to your new book that's just coming out called The Class, because it's kind of different than I want to talk about some of the old ones, if that's okay. But can you give anybody a synopsis? I don't want to butcher it. I've read part of it. So give everybody the synopsis on The Class, because when I started reading it, I was like, man, this is a pretty unique idea.
Well, the class refers to a high school class that I was in. And when we were in grade 8, we all wrote special exams, and 35 of us were chosen for this class at Etobicoke Collegiate in the suburb of Toronto. And we stayed together all during high school, in which at that time was 5 years. In Ontario, we had grade 13. And the question, that I had, not too many years after we left high school, and certainly by the time I was in my 30s, it was, that where has everybody gone, and what are they doing? That we knew each other during those years. We had some idea of each other's interests, directions we wanted to go, ways that we thought, ambitions that we had, all of that. But then life happens, and so then what happens? And in part, all of that was spurred by my own experiences, and of where, when I was in high school, I had no idea that the next 15, 20 years of my life would be what they were. I thought I would play hockey to junior B, and then if I had the chance to play university hockey, and then that would be it. And I wanted to be a lawyer, and I guess I'd go on to law school. I'd become a lawyer and live a lawyer's life, whatever that might be, probably in Toronto. That's where I was, where I had grown up. Probably get married, probably have kids. That's what seemed to happen. Maybe coach our kids as they got older. But that would be the likely path that I'd take. And then, of course, everything just all went haywire, and ended up in the NHL. I did go to law school, graduated, but I never practiced law. And started to become interested in a lot of things that I had never been interested in before. I hated writing in high school. I did good. I didn't think I could do anything that related to, music or the arts in any kind of way. I had no imagination, and no patience for anything like that. And so I thought, that if that's what happened with me, and a lot of my friends, they were not doing what they were imagining themselves to do, then what was it like for my classmates? And so then all that I had that in the back of my mind for the last 30 years or so, and then finally decided, this is the moment. Let's see how many I can find of my 34 classmates, and see how life has been for them.
It's a fascinating idea, because obviously there were some people you didn't realize had passed away, and that obviously happens to most classes, obviously depending on the age of people and different things like that. And you mentioned that, because I think a lot of us, how you map things out. But I want to talk first of all about your hockey career, Ken. So you felt like, hey, you know what, maybe I could get to university. At what point, like after grade 8, did it ever change where you're like, oh, you know what, like maybe this could be something? Like, did you wait until you were drafted by Boston in '64, or did you have an inkling before that?
No, I never did. I mean, even when I was drafted, it was like, okay, I mean, I'm drafted, but I know the difference between me playing junior B hockey for the Etobicoke Indians and Saturday night television screen and the people who are on that screen, and they're not me and I'm not them, and I'm never going to be them.
Okay.
And so even then going on and being at Cornell, and it turned out that we were a lot better than I thought we would be, and we won an NCAA championship, and we hardly lost any games, and there would be scouts from the Canadians that would be watching me play, and even at that point, it was like, no, like that's not going to happen, and so I mean, I ended up then graduating from Cornell, had a chance to sign with the Canadians, but instead decided to go with the national team where I could go to law school as well as play a high level of hockey, because again, I didn't think I could make it. And then arrived at a Montreal training camp, and it just happened, that there was a kind of a moment of opening where the Canadians had not made the playoffs the year before, which during the 50s, 60s, and just never happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm at this training camp, and the Canadians aren't doing well in training camp. And so they say, well, let's go from the AHL camp, play a couple of games. And they turned out fine. And then, went back to the AHL camp. But at the same time, I'm a full-time law student. And so I can only play a few games with the American League team, and then get brought up in March because the team isn't doing very well, and get slotted into a few games, and then get chosen to play the first game of the first round against the Bruins, who had won the cup the year before. And then things, it turned out I could do it, and I had no idea I could do it until it happened. And it was, as much of a shock to me as it was to anyone else. And so no, and even during the years that I was playing with, the first few years I was playing in Montreal, and I was still, a law student at McGill. And when we'd have to fill out forms that said occupation, I didn't put hockey player, I put law student, because I thought that's what I was, and that the hockey part of it had just kind of happened, and I wasn't sure that it was going to continue to happen.
Ken Dryden joins us. That's fascinating, Ken, that you were actually a law student while you were playing in the American Hockey League. Like, I'm guessing there's not a lot of those guys around.
Yeah. Well, and it wasn't just while I was playing in the American Hockey League.
Yeah.
It's when I was playing with the Canadians. I mean, when I was that final part of the first year, I was, in March, I had the problem of coming up to the Canadians and then going into the playoffs at the same time as exams. And then, the following year, I'm playing with the Canadians and being a full-time law student because, law schools didn't allow you to be anything other than a full-time student, and then continued it on into the year afterwards. And that's when I finally graduated.
So you're telling me in 1971-72, you're a full-time law student and you still played 64 games for the Canadians?
That's right.
How do you mix it? Like, where are you studying?
Well, buses, airplanes. One of the great times for me was that I could never sleep after games. That I was so pumped after a game that if I went out and had something to eat, or and we're with the guys for a while, that's fine. Then you come back to the hotel room, and it's still 4 or 5 in the morning before I can fall asleep. Well, at a certain point, forget, if I'm going to be awake, I may as well read trusts. And so that's what I did. And you just find time, because you have to find time, and you have to find ways of using that time. It was not an ideal way of going to law school, and you could never really enjoy it because it always felt like cramming. And we all know what cramming is like. You may be able to learn enough and retain enough to get yourself through an exam, but it's not fun while you're doing it. But that was the only way. I wanted to go to law school. I wanted to play at as high a level as I could. There was no option to postpone one for the other. There's no way of being a part-time player in the NHL and a part-time law student. And so faced with the full-timeness of both, you just find a way.
Ken, how was that, like Yvonne Cornway, Frank Mahovlich, Jacques Lemaire, and you had a young Guy Lafleur, your first full season in Montreal as well. How did your teammates handle the fact that you were a full-time law student?
I think at first it was just sort of a curiosity that and I think in part it helped that I was a goalie, and because every non-goalie, every defenseman and forward thinks goalies are very different, and so this was my quirkiness, that I was going to school. But I think in fact, as time went on, that there was a little, I think more than a little bit of respect, in that way. And the thing that was one of the person who was absolutely central to this all was Sam Pollock, who was the general manager of the Canadiens. And he allowed me to try. I think every other general manager in the NHL would have said, no way. Yeah. You have to make a choice. We can't, rely on you if in fact you're trying to do this because it's going to fail and you're going to fail. And that means the team is going to fail with you and you're going to have to make a choice. I think Sam Pollock, he enjoyed the fact that I was trying, because I think that had life been different for him when he was younger, he would have wanted to do, and as he did in his career, all kinds of different things and have the challenge and the test of trying to pull them off.
Ken Dryden joins us. Has a new book coming out, The Class, which is basically he goes and tracks down all the people he went to in this special class in grade 8 together to find out how their life went, maybe a lot of different paths than they would have expected. And yours is one of those paths. As you mentioned, you never thought you were going to be an NHL hockey player. You never thought you'd be a writer. So I want to get to your writing, Ken, because we've got a lot of texts coming in. What made you suddenly realize I could be a writer?
Well, again, it wasn't sudden. I learned in university that I could write okay. I could write sorry about that. I could write assignments, and I could write articles, and I thought a book was a long article, but it isn't. It's very different from a long article, and it's like anything that you do or any of your listeners do. You try, you don't know that you can, but if you don't know that you can't, then and stick with it, you can find out. And so that's essentially what happened. When I was starting, the first book I did, and you alluded to it earlier, was The Game.
Yes.
And it took me, I'll bet the first year of writing it, in the final version, there was probably almost nothing that survived, into the final version. You had to learn as you were writing it. And then, you gradually find yourself and discover that you're getting a little bit better. You're getting a little bit closer to seeing at that time, the page in front of you, what you were, you're seeing in your head. So, for all of us when we're writing, we may have clearly in our minds what we want to write, and then we put it down on paper and we're like, oh man, that's not even close to what I'm thinking or feeling. And I'm never going to get there. And we kind of give up. Well, if you keep at it, at a certain point, what's on that page or now what's on the screen can start to look a little bit like what's in your head. And then that becomes really satisfying and exciting. And basically to me, the writing is like how I approach being a goalie, how I approach, being, working in government and in politics. It's all about trying to figure out stuff. And again, it's like, as in this book, how did we get from there to here? In hockey, how did that happen? What did I do? What did I do wrong? what did we do wrong? What do I need to do next? Why is that guy doing what he's doing there on the ice? What can I do differently, to make it different, the next time? I mean, it's, and in politics or anything else, it's the thing, what is the nature of this country? If I'm going to be a member of parliament, I need to understand the country. I need to be there. I need to be on the ground. I need to be immersed in it. I need to have, feelings and thoughts and ideas about it. And to me, being a goalie, writing, being in politics or other things, it's immersing yourself in it, becoming what it is you're doing, and then trying to make sense of it, and then trying to make it all work.
And lastly, Ken, what's unique about you as an author is, you've written sports books. You've written about, our classrooms, our teachers, our kids, which was about the educational system. You even talked about, Canada needing a new definition as its unique place in the world. Obviously, you've had hockey books about Scotty Bowman and others, and now The Class, which is a very unique idea about a grade 8 classroom that you were part of. Where do you come up with these ideas? And do you have any, is there an area that you haven't written about that you'd like to?
Yeah. Well, the ideas really come from things that I find really interesting, and then figure, okay, what can I know about it? What sense can I make of it? How can I get it down? How can it be of some potential value or interest to somebody who's reading it? I mean, when I was writing this book, I knew, like every book that is about a person or a group of people, whether it's a biography, autobiography, or other nonfiction that way, is really about a life and times. I mean, our times affect us hugely. Where we live in the country, what the circumstances are at the moment in the country, what our own circumstances, our parents are, all of those things. And so when you're writing a book like the Class, you're writing a from there to here story in terms of individuals and individual lives, but you're also writing a from there to here story about the country, and writing about the years, not just even the years that we've been alive. We were all born in either 1947 or 1946, and the years forward of us at in those post-war years when everything in Canada seemed possible, and the same in the U.S. The rest of the world was in so much disarray, but everything seemed possible. Coming out of depression, coming out of war, all these possibilities. That's what we lived, and so this was a chance to write, about people's lives, and also their lives in the context of the country. So, it has a wonderful range of possibility of exploring, all of these questions. And yes, you always have in your mind, other things that you'd like to really get at. And I have something in mind now. I don't know whether it will become a book. Like, again, this one took, a couple of decades before I finally decided to write it.
Okay.
I don't know whether what I have in mind now is really a book, or better as a film project or something else. But yeah, I mean, that there, just as in the work that you do, I mean, there's fascinating things all around, and all you need to do is kind of land on something. And the more you focus on what you've landed on, the more fascinating it becomes.
Well said, Ken. I look forward to finishing the book Class. I love the idea of it. It's a great honor to have you on our show. Continued success in writing and writing about things that matter. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks a lot, Jason. Good luck.
That is Ken Dryden, man. What a career he's had as an NHL player. But you know what? A lot of people nowadays know Ken more as an author as he was an NHLer. Like, he was definitely more than a hockey player, which I think is fantastic. And just imagine for a second, most of you probably you think of your grade 8 classroom, and geez, I wonder what happened to, whatever, pick a name. Aaron, Sally, guess depends on the generation that you're in and who is in your class and kind of what happened to them, what they thought was going to happen, and then what happened. And then just think about your own life from grade 8. It's very unique. And what about that? Going to law school while you're playing in the NHL? Not a lot of guys do that. We'll come back. Your Yurchuk will join us, so we'll talk a little hockey. Oilers get a win. Now they go into Philly. Had a very light practice. Like 5 guys were on the ice today, so it was basically a non-skate day for the Oilers as they get set to take on the Flyers tomorrow. We'll discuss it on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
At The Brick, we're not just proud of this city and its rich sports history. We're proud partners of it. The Brick started right here in Edmonton over 50 years ago. And when we're not cheering on the Oilers and Oil Kings live at the game, or the Edmonton Elks under the bright stadium lights, we're in our stores, providing everything you need to cheer them on in your home. The Brick, supporting Edmonton sports teams and fans since 1971, saving you more.
Building or renovating, you want to work with someone who sees and understands your vision. BIE Engineering is a family-owned, experienced structural engineering consulting firm serving commercial and residential clients in Edmonton and surrounding area. Homeowner or large company, they'll work with you to help see your ideas through. BIE Engineering can help prevent problems, deliver solutions, and minimize your risk. BIE Engineering. Request a quote for your project today. Visit BIEENG.com.
Hey world, get ready to believe. At Oodle Noodle, we serve up world-class, worldwide flavors in our sweet, saucy, and fiery noodles. We believe in the power of nudes. We've got everything from saucy mac and cheese to sizzling pad thai to so many other unbelievable dishes sure to make you a noodle convert for life. You've got to taste them to believe it. Don't be a skeptic. The proof is in the noodles. Check us out at oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle Noodle. We believe in noodles.
Corporate Business Solutions will keep your multifunction office equipment happy. But don't take our word for it. Toner cartridges from far and wide have been raving.
Well, I like it when they give me a shake, shake, shake.
500 out of every 500 sheets of paper say they love their experience in a new Konica Minolta office solution.
Get tickled as I flow through the machine.
With regular preventative maintenance, Corporate Business Solutions will keep your office equipment up and running by fixing your device before it breaks down. Call 780-490-5600 or visit cbsca.com.
Thinking about solar power? Action Electrical wants to eliminate your entire home or business power bill and keep more cash in your pocket. With effective paybacks in 5 to 9 years, give solar a chance with Action and put your lazy roof to work. Alberta is the second highest province for the amount of full sunlight hours, and with system life exceeding 25 years, solar power is like a McDavid draft pick. Still have questions about solar power? Contact the professionals at actionelectrical.net today. That's actionelectrical.net.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is sounding the call. Don't struggle through winter with a furnace you can't trust. For maintenance before winter strikes,
call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For furnace tune-ups and repairs to give peace of mind.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
Or to scrap your old furnace for a brand new high-efficiency one.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
And with no payments, no interest for 1 year on your new furnace, it's gotta be Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. They've continued developing tools and are excited to announce their newest design, battery-powered nut runners. 4 models from 500 to 3,000 foot-pounds with more on the way. Learn more at cantork.com.
Sports Radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Listen carefully to the sound of your loneliness, like a heartbeat drives you mad. In the stillness of remembering what
Welcome back. Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440. Also live on Oilers Nation YouTube. Hope you're having yourself an awesome day. Really enjoyed that conversation with Ken Dryden. If you missed it, go to jasongregor.com. It'll be up there. And anywhere you get your podcast, right at the top of the hour. Now let's get to the oil report brought to you by Volvo of Edmonton, Volvo Cars Edmonton, where right now, stop in. You can get financed for as low as 1.49% on a demo, or previously certified pre-owned Volvo. Only at Canada's #1 Volvo dealership, VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. As we welcome in from Oilers Nation, Tyler Yurchuk, and things are calm now. Oilers Nation could exhale. The Oilers got a win, and probably the best option for them, because you knew that Leon Draisaitl was going to score. It's become almost laughable at how predictable it is that Leon Draisaitl will light up the Preds. Like, you just don't see this. Like, it's not that easy to score in the NHL as regular as he does, never mind with as much frequency as he has against the Preds here for the last 5 years.
But also, like, this matchup doesn't really make sense. Like, if Draisaitl was going out and doing this against, like, the Coyotes or a rebuilding Ducks team, or, go down the list of teams that have been giving up a lot of goals over the last number of years, sure. But he's been doing this against the Predators franchise that, I mean, if it wasn't Pekka Rinne, it's now UC Saros between the pipes. They always have an elite goalie, and they're always kind of built from the blue line out. They always take pride in keeping pucks out of their net. So the fact that this is the matchup he just happens to exploit this way, it's puzzling. It doesn't make sense. It feels like a weird statistical anomaly.
Well, you know what? You look at it, the Oilers are, they're kind of in their mix of being a very good team, because it's funny. Prior to this, Nashville used to beat the Oilers for fun, right? Remember Pekka Rinne? They could never beat him. So it's kind of gone the other way, and now it's just a score. But usually, even if one team has your number, it's very rare that one individual has that much success. Like, Draisaitl's the only player currently active in the NHL who is averaging a goal per game in his career against one team. No one else does it, right? Like, even McDavid hasn't done it. Matthews hasn't done it. Matthews has 26 and 32 against Montreal, which is really good, but it's not 24 and 24. And so it's kind of almost comical to watch at times, because when the game starts, you're just like, oh, let's go to playalberta.ca and put down Leon Draisaitl scoring a goal, and you'd be ultra confident that it'll happen.
I'm not sure if you guys played him on the show, but did you hear his media avail after the game talking about it? Like, it says so much about Leon Draisaitl's personality that he's, like, annoyed with his own success.
Yeah. The old grumpy German man. He shows up at all different times. Yesterday, some people were very upset that they went to the nuclear deterrent in McDavid and Draisaitl because, they don't have any depth. And then afterwards, it's like, hey, do you think the Fogle, and Nugent Hopkins line can really be a good second line? Like, things can change quickly.
Yeah, I mean, am I sold that Fogle, Nugent Hopkins, and Hyman can produce offense like that on a game-to-game basis? No, I'm not. But I totally understand the temptation from Jay Woodcroft to, when things aren't going great, just go back to McDavid and Draisaitl on the top line. I understand that. And it kind of got me thinking, Greg's, about, is there a way to do it more consistently and have no concerns about the rest of the lineup and be like, you know what, even when we go with 29 and 97 together, we have a second line that can score consistently, and we have a third line that can score consistently. And I brought this up today on ON Every Day, and the chat started saying, well, what if you just went at the deadline and shopped hard for a high-end second line center? Like, we've been talking about them wanting to upgrade the blue line. We've talked about depth on the wings, maybe a fourth line center. But imagine if Florida falls out of the race and you could go get a guy like a Sam Bennett, and your second line all of a sudden was like Bennett, Hyman, and Nugent Hopkins. Maybe you could run Draisaitl, McDavid, and whoever full time, and then also still have a really darn good second line.
Yeah, see, when I look at like the top three things that I think the Oilers need, I wouldn't have a second line center, right? And so there's only so much cap space. So I get the theory behind it. I'm like, I can play Leon Draisaitl as my second line center and not really have to worry about it. And so, like, it's good that Nugent Hopkins can move there if you want, and you have enough guys around that you can say, hey, we can get away with it, because it's not like other teams have McDavid, Draisaitl as the 1-2 center, right? Like, well, nobody does. So there's lots of teams who don't have a dominant second line center. They just have a good one. And so could Nugent Hopkins be a good center for a short period of time? I think he can. I'm more interested on what do you make of, like, I thought Philip Broberg had his most noticeable game in the NHL last night. right? And it's funny because as I'm watching him, I'm seeing everything that Ekholm had told us that he wanted him to do. Use his speed, jump up, be more active. And guess what? If it doesn't work, you can get back. And we saw that last night. And I kind of wonder how this year is going to go for Broberg.
If him and Kulak establish themselves as like a really solid and trustworthy third pairing, and if Cody Ceci has a bounce back, then all of a sudden maybe you're not as concerned about the blue line as you may have been heading into the year. But I agree with you. I thought last night was a really, really good showing from Broberg. I also thought Brett Kulak played pretty well last night. I know like the analytics maybe didn't suggest that he had the best night, but I think a lot of that was just score effects of the Preds being down as early as they were and throwing a ton of rubber on net. I like Kulak last night. I thought there was a couple of grade A chances that he got his stick in on and broke up. And you mentioned Broberg playing well. I think it goes hand in hand with him having a trustworthy veteran partner. We saw last year with Bouchard, the difference it made when he went from playing with someone inexperienced to all of a sudden playing with a really experienced guy in Ekholm. We've seen it in the past with Bouchard and Keith. And I think the same thing will be similar for Broberg. If Kulak is playing well, then it'll free up Broberg to play the style of game that you mentioned and Matthias Ekholm mentioned. And I think it'll obviously give Jay Woodcroft just another reliable pair he can dump over the boards at any point.
Tyler Remchuk joins us. You got to go with Campbell tomorrow night in Philly, don't you?
Oh, you're insane if you don't. And the counter argument is, but can you imagine if Stuart Skinner has the kind of bounce back performance that Campbell did? Imagine how good you'd feel about your goaltending. But that's a little bit too much of like a mystery box kind of thing. Like, do you want the boat or do you want the mystery box? It could be a boat. Go with the guy who's hot. Go with Jack Campbell.
And here's the thing, though. We say bounce back, sure. But if I look at just this year alone and, the 5 preseason starts and regular season starts for Campbell, he's still got a .950 save percentage, including the 27 minutes event against Vancouver, where he allowed 4 goals and 16 shots. He's only allowed 4 goals combined in the other 240 minutes. He's played very well. Stuart Skinner necessarily hasn't yet. If you look at his preseason, he had like an .886 save percentage. And then obviously we've seen what's happened in the regular season. I get that, you don't want him to sit out too long, but I think the Oilers need to get a few wins here. And I might even play Campbell on Saturday if he continues it on Thursday.
Yeah, if he plays really, really well against Philly, I don't see why you wouldn't consider it. I understand not wanting to have Skinner sit on the bench for all that long, but it's also only game 3, game 4, game 5. Like, there is a lot of time this season for you to eventually give Stuart Skinner a run of starts. Remember, we talked about this last year. He didn't play great in the playoffs, and it could be a little bit of he's never really had to play that much hockey in a calendar year before. So I don't see a downside to just riding the hot hand. And I would be saying the same thing if the shoe was on the other foot and it was Stuart Skinner who came in and was playing excellent for 2 games. I'd be saying, yeah, play that guy for 3 or 4 straight if it gives you the best chance to win. The 0-2 start put a little bit of pressure on the Oilers, and I think you need to kind of go into these games with the mindset of, all right, let's rack up a couple of wins. Let's get above 500 before we start getting too cute with who we're starting between the pipes.
The Flyers shut out the Canucks. They had tons of shots. Demko, I think, faced like over 40 shots. So Philly was all over him. Edmonton, we saw that with Edmonton in game 2. They just, and Philly only scored 2 goals. Like, I would say this, Vancouver's goaltenders have kept their games a lot closer than they maybe should have been thus far. But I'm kind of curious. We see Sean Couturier's first goal in multiple seasons because he had back injuries. What are you expecting from this Flyers team tomorrow?
I am expecting Carter Hart and the group of veterans and John Tortorella to just keep them competitive enough to not be a lottery team, but still not really get them anywhere close to the playoffs. I don't look at that roster and I don't look at that blue line specifically and go, oh yeah, that's a team that's capable of sneaking into the 8th spot in the Eastern Conference. And it feels like that's kind of what the Flyers management is still kind of hoping for. Like, I think they should have torn it down a little bit more aggressively this summer. Clearly isn't the play. And I think that's a dangerous spot to be in. I think it's almost the same as a team like the Nashville Predators, where like an elite goalie and a scrappy group of vets is going to keep you in the fight, but you're not a championship team. But you're just going to be picking 8th, 9th, or 10th every single year. And you'd need to get lucky at that point to get the superstar you probably need. So I just view the Flyers as being in this mushy middle. Tomorrow's a very, very winnable game.
Ty, one last one for you. It's early on. It's just like over a week into the season. But, we saw Hyman, Fogle, score, McDavid, obviously, Leon Draisaitl. What have you made so far of the 4th line? of the Oilers through 3 games. And I know technically it's 2 because the first game they only had 11 forwards.
I like that Adam Ernie has some bite to his game and he's willing to drop the gloves and play physical. But I think they got outshot last game, something like 9-1 at 5-on-5 when all 3 of them were on the ice. And I understand wanting trustworthy veterans in the lineup, and I'm still fine if they want to keep rolling with this trio for a little bit here. But I would hope that these first couple of games have kind of grabbed Ken Holland's attention a little bit. Maybe you need to be a little bit faster. Maybe you need to have a little bit more youth out here just to spice things up. Like you look at Vegas last year and what their fourth line looked like. It was fast. It would hit you. They could score and contribute. And I just look at Janmark, Ryan, and Ernie, and I don't see a very high ceiling with those 3. So for now, I think it's fine, but I do think it's something they need to look at switching up at some point.
Ty, have a good one. We will chat with you next Wednesday.
Thanks, Gregor.
That is Ty Yurchuk. Or Tyler. Does it go like some call him Ty, some call him Tyler? Just don't call him late for dinner. Motors Nation, that's a little report brought to you by Volvo Cars Edmonton. Coming up after 3 o'clock, it will be Who Is It Wednesday. Many of you guessed it right today. We'll tell you. You'll find out who it is next after Connor Halley and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by BIE Engineering, specializing in all your residential, commercial, and industrial structural engineering needs. Go to BIEENG.com.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Just 2 games in the NHL tonight. The Capitals in Ottawa taking on the Sens at 5. And then at 5:30, the Penguins taking on the Detroit Red Wings in a rematch of the 2008-2009 Stanley Cup Final. Game 3 of the ALCS goes tonight from Arlington as the Rangers look to wrap up, or look to go up 3-0 in their series against the Houston Astros. First pitch set for 6:03. 3 games in the AJ with Spruce Grove hosting Lloyd at 7 down at Grant Fuhr Arena. You've also got Sherwood Park in Olds and Bonneville hosting Brooks. The Jacksonville Jaguars have signed Canadian quarterback Nathan Rourke to their 53-man roster ahead of their Thursday night game against the New Orleans Saints. Trevor Lawrence currently dealing with some knee issues, and McCole Hardman heading back to the Kansas City Chiefs. ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting the 25-year-old receiver is returning to the team. He won 2 Super Bowl wins as part of late-round pick swap with the New York Jets. And from the soccer world, Brazilian forward Neymar tore his ACL and meniscus while playing in a World Cup qualifying game. The 31-year-old Neymar will need surgery. No timetable has been set for his return. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, it's another edition of Who Is It Wednesday. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
This is Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
Some things just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients, better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20% off any regular menu price order. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. That's Sports20.
Did you know oil changes could get you closer to your next vacation? Right now at Jiffy Lube, get 50 bonus air miles reward miles when you get a Pennzoil Platinum oil change. Jiffy Lube, keeping you moving.
You know, I got into reffing for the excitement.
He's going for the chair.
Turns out wrestling is completely scripted. But you know what's exciting and unscripted? PlayAlberta.ca. With an all-new sportsbook, odds boosts, and betting on any game.
PlayAlberta.ca. Go all in on excitement. Sign up today with promo code SPORTS50 and get a $50 free bet. Official gaming partner of the Edmonton Oilers. Remember, if you gamble, use your game sense.
Ain't it beautiful? The inventory is unprecedented. Volvo Cars Edmonton is proud to boast an amazing selection of in-stock Volvo XC40s, 60s, and 90s. Visit Volvo Cars Edmonton today and experience the exemplary service you've come to expect and the affordable luxury only found with Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners. Experience the difference.
Volvo of Edmonton.
If you have mobility issues, a residential elevator can allow you to enjoy your home for longer, but finding the right elevator or lift can be daunting. Ram Elevators and Lifts can get you started with 3 simple questions. What kind of space are you installing the elevator in? How far does it need to travel? And are you interested solely in function, or is the look of your lift important? Make your home more accessible with grounded simplicity, elevated design. Learn more online at trustram.com.
What you eating there?
Oh, just a Leon's $10,000 shopping spree in a Chevy Colorado.
How do you plan to get all that from a Big Mac?
Monopoly Double Play.
Monopoly Double Play?
First, I peel on pack, then I peel an app. 2 ways to play and win.
So basically, you're potentially holding the most lucrative Big Mac ever?
No, I'm potentially eating the most lucrative Big Mac ever.
Now you can double play at McDonald's for more ways to win millions of prizes. While supplies last, chances of winning change as prizes are claimed. Chances of winning McD's app prizes based on time of code entry. See rules at participating McDonald's in Canada or at mcdpromotion.ca.
At Toyota, we build quality trucks with you in mind because everyone loves a friend with a truck, especially a Toyota, winner of the Canadian Black Book Award for Best Residual Value. So when that inevitable ring-a-ding-ding for help comes, you're there, rolling up in an award-winning truck because you're an award-worthy friend. It's time to Toyota. Finance a 2024 Tundra 4x4 Double Cab SR5 from $190 weekly for 84 months at 7.39% APR with $7,999 down. Hybrid also available. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Prairie Toyota dealer today.
You're a smart person, but even smart people make dumb decisions when it comes to divorce. Make a freedom decision with freedomlaw.ca.
The Verhage Law Team at freedomlaw.ca guides you to an effective strategy for your situation, including alternative dispute resolutions like mediation. There's a lot at stake. Getting the right advice right away is a smart decision. With initial consultations from just $375.
Make the smart decision. freedomlaw.ca.
This is the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440. Favorite us right now.
Powered by PlayAlberta.ca. If you gamble, use your game sense. Learn more at gamesense.ab.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, the clear choice for all your auto, residential, and commercial glass needs. Call 310 Glass or book now at crystalglass.ca.
Sports Radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
We continue on Wednesday afternoon. The Gregor Show is always presented by our title sponsor, PlayAlberta.ca. And remember, you do not have to wait for the season to begin. Now that's here. Doesn't matter what sport you're playing, get in. You can try it. If you're a first-timer, use the promo code SPORTS50, and you'll get a $50 free play at PlayAlberta.ca. It is Wednesday, 3 o'clock, and that always means it's time for Who Is It Wednesday, where we like to bring in different personalities from the sporting world and talk a little bit about their career. Most of them have had a very unique past. We've had Olympians. We've had Stanley Cup champions. Today, we got someone who's both. Of course, he was an Olympian for Canada's men's hockey team. He went on to be one of only 7 players to win 5 Stanley Cups with the Edmonton Oilers. He's a doctor, and he's also one of the co-owners of the Edmonton Riverhawks. Randy Gregg joins us in studio. Randy, how are you, my man?
I'm doing great, thanks. Yeah, thanks for the very nice introduction. I wish I would have lived up to all those accolades.
Well, hey, can't take away 5 cup rings, man. Think about it. They had to bring you back to the team in 1988 just to ensure that they would win number 4.
Well, I wish that was the case. But you know what? The funny thing about winning the Stanley Cup is although we had some amazing players, they give a Stanley Cup ring even to the poor players. So I was lucky that way.
Oh, yeah. Well, many of your teammates have always talked about Randy's probably a little bit humble in what his ability is because championships teams, they don't just keep around spare parts, especially for that long. You got to be able to do something, right? And so kind of I want to talk about your journey because you have a very interesting journey. We just had Ken Dryden on the show earlier today, and somebody who felt like, he goes, I would never really thought I could be an NHL player until I was an NHL player. Like he didn't believe he was good enough to play in the league until he kind of got thrust into it. And, you weren't, highly drafted or anything like that. You went to university, then you played for the Olympic team. How about, and because I think, you were approached originally by, Vancouver and other teams, and then you're like, nah, and then you kind of had to get convinced. Kind of take us back to what led to you finally being able to play in your hometown with the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, so it is kind of interesting. These days it's completely different than it was back then. Back then there were 6 teams, and nobody in the right mind would ever think that they could play in the NHL. You saw Chicago, New York, and Boston, and Toronto, Montreal. So we just wanted to play hockey because we loved it. Nowadays, of course, you can, drive 20 minutes and see the best player in the NHL personally. So it makes it a little bit easier for players and families these days to say that's a possibility. So it was interesting because my real goal was to be a doctor. I thought that would be a great career and something I could help people out with. And at the University of Alberta, they allow anybody to come out and try out. So I tried out this one particular year. I thought I'd spend 2 days practicing a couple of free skates and then get cut. And it was the first year of my medical school. Well, my older brother, who was a doctor, came up to me and unceremoniously sort of grabbed me by the throat and said, "Forget about this hockey. You got to concentrate on medicine. You want to be a good doctor, you got to focus on medicine." I said, "Yeah, I sure will." So, well, I'll get cut 2 days into this practice. Well, lo and behold, 4 years later, we'd won a couple of national championships, and I was being coached by Claire Drake. He turned a tall, slow defenseman into a tall, slow, smarter defenseman, somebody who really understood the game because of such a great coaching we had at the university. At that point in time, I wasn't drafted. My draft year, I was in medical school. So what kind of a crazy hockey team would draft a doctor? So I became a free agent. And in 1980, it ended up that there was the Canadian Olympic team. And during the national championships, there was this fellow in the stands that we knew of him, but he was a fellow named Father David Bauer.
Yes.
Father David Bauer goes back many years as organizer of the Canadian Olympic team. And he wanted to organize a group to represent us in Lake Placid. Well, I thought, my God, are you kidding me? I'm just going to be a doctor. And I was lucky enough to play with the Golden Bears. No way I could ever go to the Olympics. Sure enough, I was the captain of that team. We ended up in 6th place in Lake Placid. And to this day is the best sporting experience of my life, primarily because of Claire Drake and Father Bauer. An amazing experience, a personal growth experience, a chance to travel the world, a chance to realize that, hockey's great, but hockey's all over the world. It's not just in Edmonton, just in Winnipeg and things like that. So anyway, I was so excited about this Olympic experience. I said, well, maybe I'll stay amateur. I'll go to Japan. I'd been in Japan once with the Olympic team. And so I got a job as an assistant manager of a hotel in Tokyo. My job, of course, was to play for their hockey team for a couple of years. And that was indeed a great experience as well, to be one of the leaders of the team and see different parts of the world. But it was interesting. I was in Sapporo one day, and I was lying in my bed waiting, kind of having to sleep, getting ready for the game that night. And the phone rang, and it was this fellow named Glenn Sather. And Glenn had come over to Tokyo with Peter Pocklington. He had a business dealing to do. So they went over. Somehow they got my phone, and Glenn said, "When you're finished with all this craziness, come on back and let's talk." So I thought, boy, this Glenn Sather, he's the coach of the Edmonton Oilers. I mean, my family are amazing fans of the Oilers. I was a fan of the Oilers when I was there.
Okay.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, so when I got back, it was just start of playoff time, and Glenn called me in and offered me this amazing contract. I didn't even believe it's so high. But I said to him, I said, "Glenn, I really appreciate it, but sorry, I think I'm going to go back to medicine." I got up and I started walking out his office, and he said, "Randy, sit down," and offered another $50,000 or something like that. Way more than I ever wanted. But what I really wanted to do is to make sure that we understood that if he wanted to get rid of me, just tell me, I'll leave, because I've got something else, this medical practice that I'd like to get going. And I think I did that twice. And then finally, in the third time, I thought, I better not keep on walking out. He might not call me back.
Yeah.
And, at that point, the Oilers were, and still are, a very big part of our community. And my family were big fans. So anyway, I went out to the first practice. It was right before a playoff against Los Angeles. And he introduced me. He said, "Guys, look, we're starting the playoffs. This guy's here for next year. He's going to practice. Don't worry. He's not taking anybody's job." And so I started practicing with him. Well, we lost the first game, I think. And the second game, Glenn came to me. This is about 5 days after I'd been in Tokyo, Japan. He said, "You're playing next game." And I can't remember what I did yesterday, but I remember amazingly coming down on right defense, my first shift with the Edmonton Oilers, my family, all my friends looking down on me. And I had replaced a fellow who had struggled the first game. His name was Coffee, I think, future Hall of Famer. Paul came back into the lineup shortly afterwards, became a great, great player, of course. But that was a good experience. And in fact, that was the year of the miracle in Manchester. Yes. There was a fight on the ice. And of course, Japan or any international hockey, you're kicked out. So I grabbed the guy closest to me and I wasn't a great fighter, still aren't, my wife tells me, but it happened to be Charlie Simmer. Well, Charlie's the nicest guy in the world. He says, "Hey, Doc, how you doing?" I thought, good. I picked the right guy. We're not going to go toe-to-toe. But it ended up that we were the third and fourth man in on the fight. So we get 5-minute misconduct. So I went into the penalty box. It was 5-0 for us. And I came out, it was 5-5. Los Angeles scored the 6th goal in overtime. They went on to win the miracle in Manchester, so to speak. So that was an interesting experience to start with the Oilers. My wife, I met in the Olympics, and she's a wonderful lady, and she doesn't care what I do. She wanted me to be around my family. She said, look, play for a couple of years. Let's get on with life. Well, a couple of years in, we started winning those darn Stanley Cups, so it was pretty hard to quit.
I would think so. Randy Gregg joined us. So, because that was amazing. You jump in the playoffs, and I do remember reading about that, you'd replace Paul Coffey for one game, and obviously very different style players, but, Glenn Sather was a master motivator, and he was looking probably for different things to get guys going. So you play there, and then they lost, but then you came back the next season, Randy. So now it's your first training camp. You come in, and that's the fall of 1982. And obviously, your family members, I'm sure, and probably you knew about Gretzky already and them. But now that you're in the room, was it intimidating for you at all? You're like, here's Wayne Gretzky. This is Mark Messier guy. Now there's Glenn Anderson and Curry. Was it at all intimidating for you that first full season? Because I think the playoff games you didn't have time to really be worried.
Yeah, true. Well, it's interesting. As a free agent, one of the great things about being a free agent is you can negotiate with everybody. So I had contract offers with the Atlanta Flames, which ended up being Calgary, and New York Rangers, much higher than the Oilers. I think my family would have disowned me if I had signed with either of those teams. So it was a pretty easy decision. But, it was a remarkable time, and I don't think we'll ever see it. People like Mark and Wayne, as fabulous as they were just such great young men.
Yeah.
We had lots of fun, maybe too much fun, I think, if you think back on some of those evenings. But they were really open and accommodating. There was a fellow named Kurt Brackenberry, who was kind of a tough player. And one of the first practices, Kurt comes in and hammers me into the boards of practice. And Kevin Lowe came over and said, "Hey, Randy, don't take it personally. He does that to everybody." And so they were really supportive. I think they realized that, we had the goal scorers. We had the great goaltending in Andy Mogan, Grant Fuhr. And there was a spot for Kevin McClellan. There was a spot for Marty McSorley. And maybe there was a spot for an old slow defenseman who could maybe get the puck up to the guys who could really do the job. So, kudos to the coaching staff to say, we need this spot filled. And they went out and got it. Luckily for me, I was able to play in front of my friends and family.
Randy Gregg, our guest today on Who Is It Wednesday. Your second season, Randy, you say just a slow defenseman. He was also a defenseman who scored 13 goals and 40 points. And then, now you had 8 goals a few other years, but that was obviously your career high. What went well for you offensively in 1983-84? Because obviously that was the first year you guys won your first Stanley Cup. So was your offensive burst on the scene kind of one of the key points to that 84 Stanley Cup win?
Well, absolutely not. And in fact, to be very honest with you, my mother probably would have scored 30 goals with Wayne Gretzky and Mark Messier and things like that. You tag along with those guys and you get in the right spot. I mean, the great aspect of any sport is, we have to be in good shape. We have to be fairly quick. But I really, really love the strategic part of hockey. And I think Claire Drake was a big part of that. I was never going to be particularly good, but by playing with these players that were so fabulous, so innovative, they didn't even know what they were doing, and they were doing great things. So sometimes you come in the backside for a one-timer, things like that. But really, we all realized if we were going to be successful, we had to do what our job was. Lee Fogland didn't care whether he scored a goal or not, but he was such a stalwart on our defensive line. It was interesting, back in the day, there was a fellow named Gary LaRiviere, and Gary was a very, very defensive defenseman. And for years, I don't think he scored any goals. But one particular day, he was skating around the front of the other net. Somebody took a shot, hit him in the bum, went in, scored his first goal in about 3 years. So I remember the media coming into the dressing room saying, "Gary, you must be really excited. First goal in 3 years." Gary said, "No, I'm not excited at all." They said, "Why?" He said, "Well, they're going to expect 2 next year." So Gary realized when you got Wayne Gretzky and Mark, you don't have to score. You have to keep the puck out of the net. But probably the most pivotal aspect of that was in 1983, where we went and played New York Islanders and were absolutely schooled by a better team. Gretzky had scored 92. We had all these scoring records. Grant was wonderful in that, but they were a better team. And it was an interesting experience, probably one of the most pivotal changes in people's attitude. At the end of that, of course, we all had these big beards. I had this big red beard. My wife couldn't wait for the season to end so she could actually kiss me for the first time. So as we were shaving off our beards in Long Island, Nassau kind of Coliseum, there's lots of sinks there. So we're all shaving, looking in each other's eyes saying, how can we beat this team? And so we sat down, and Glenn Sather came in and talked, and John Muckler talked. And then a fellow named Jaroslav Pozar talked. Now, Jaroslav was a Czechoslovakian player, a rookie like I was. He had played on many World Championships teams. He was 33, 34. I was his interpreter. We used to live a room together, so I tried to teach him English. Not a very good job, I think. But anyway, Jaroslav had never said anything all year. And finally, when we were all sitting there dejected after we were beaten 4-0 by a much, much better team, Jaroslav got up and said, listen, if you guys want to win the Stanley Cup, you have to play as a team. Wayne, you've got to come back to the zone to help defensemen. Defensemen, you got to help the rush. Wingers, you have to do the job. You have to play as a team. And I remember it like yesterday, and everybody's saying, 92 goals is great, but it doesn't get you a Stanley Cup ring.
Yeah.
And we don't blame it on Wayne. Wayne is an unbelievable player, but I think we all sat there and said, okay, now is the time. Luckily, the next year we had a coach, an assistant coach named John Muckler, who was a very, very good strategist. And Jaroslav had opened our eyes to say, yeah, we want more than just these scoring records. We want a ring.
Yeah.
And John Muckler was able to form that group. And all of a sudden, instead of 2 defensemen and 3 forwards a long way away, it was a 5-man breakout. And all of a sudden, with the skill that all those players had, we became a better team. It was interesting because when we finally won our first Stanley Cup, I was so thirsty. I sweat like a dog. I came in and the first thing I saw was all these bottles of champagne. I grabbed the champagne, started chugging it because I was so thirsty. And then I look up, and CBC TV had us all on TV. I thought, well, everyone's going to think I'm an alcoholic thinking this. As soon as I had alcohol, I walked with my skates right into the coach's room, and I gave John Muckler a big hug and said, John, this is on you. You are the reason why we won the Stanley Cup.
Oh, Randy Gregg, our guest today on Who Is It Wednesday. We'll come back. More stories about his time with the Oilers. We're also going to get into a little medicine. And, of course, now what he's doing with the Edmonton Riverhawks. It is the Wednesday edition of the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440 and live on Oilers Nation YouTube.
There's 2 seasons in Alberta, winter and construction. During these days of traffic barricades and slower commutes, GS Construction reminds you those crews are improving our communities. They're rehabilitating and upgrading Edmonton's infrastructure all across the city. When you see the barricades and run into a traffic backup, remember, the crews are there to help. Drive slow and be patient. Help make our city better and join the GS Construction team. See what they're hiring for on Indeed.com. GS Construction, laying the groundwork for your community since 1974.
Hey world, get ready to believe. At Oodle Noodle, we serve up world-class, worldwide flavors in our sweet, saucy, and fiery noodles. We believe in the power of nudes. We've got everything from saucy mac and cheese to sizzling pad thai to so many other unbelievable dishes sure to make you a noodle convert for life. You've got to taste them to believe it. Don't be a skeptic. The proof is in the noodles. Check us out at oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle Noodle. We believe in noodles.
One call does it all. Action Electrical is proud to celebrate 50 years of providing complete electrical services and a full circle of care, including projects, service, TAG, and energy. From humble beginnings in a small Sherwood Park basement to a family-run business, the Action Electrical stamp can be found on some of the most iconic schools, office buildings, and warehouses across Canada. From conception to completion and beyond, contact
The Professionals
at actionelectrical.net today.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance. When you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
At The Brick, we're not just proud of this city and its rich sports history. We're proud partners of it. The Brick started right here in Edmonton over 50 years ago. And when we're not cheering on the Oilers and Oil Kings live at the game, or the Edmonton Elks under the bright stadium lights, we're in our stores, providing everything you need to cheer them on in your home. The Brick, supporting Edmonton sports teams and fans since 1971. Saving you more.
Some things just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients, better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20% off any regular menu price order. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. That's SPORTS20.
What's cracking at Cattail Crossing Golf and Winter Club? Kick off your week with unbeatable savings. Enjoy half-price golf from Monday to Thursday. Elevate your game without emptying your wallet. Book your tee time today. CattailCrossing.ca.
Kai writes, Dear Canadian Tire, I just moved to Winnipeg. Any tips on how to winterize my vehicle? With the right preparation and essentials from Canadian Tire, your vehicle will be road ready even during Winterpeg's long winter. My advice? Look for the Auto Brands Canadians Trust. Motomaster, Castrol, Pennzoil, and Michelin. Oh, and a box of hand warmers wouldn't hurt. Get everything you need to get your vehicle winter ready at Canada's Garage. Visit CanadianTire.ca or this week's flyer for the fall mega sale.
I want to be free. I want to just live inside my Cadillac. That is my
Portions of this hour brought to you by Roger Weird and his team at Weird Pearson Akel and Associates Private Wealth Management, helping business owners and professionals build, protect, and enjoy their wealth. Earn more now and call Roger and his team at 988-4119.
Sports Radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Old school like old English in that brown paper bag. I'm rolling.
We continue on. Sports 1440 live on Oilers Nation YouTube. It is the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Coming to you live from the Ewell studio. EWEL, their grand opening tomorrow. You want to stop in there? Free lunch. Who doesn't like free lunch? 186th Street, 116th Avenue for all their clients, suppliers, and Sports 1440 listeners. So check it out, ewel.ca. And our very special guest joining us in studio, 5-time Stanley Cup champion. He's also an Olympian, one of the co-owners of the Edmonton Riverhawks, and in his spare time, he's a doctor. So, no big deal. Randy Gregg joins us. And Randy, there's an awesome story. The Yaroslav Pozar one. We had a lot of texts from people just, geez, Pozar, saying that to Wayne. I think you need a good room where you can say something with constructive criticism to any. No one can be above it if you want to win.
Well, not if you're a great player. I mean, there are good players out there. Wayne was a great player. I mean, he was the best of his generation, but he was more than that. He was an amazing man. I got to tell you a quick story. So my father, a few years ago, turned 99, passed away at 104. Wow. Anyway, when he was 99, I mean, 99 is a special moment. I've never asked Wayne for anything. I never will, because of course everybody wants something from Wayne. So I texted Wayne. I said, Wayne, my dad just turned 99. If I send you a card, would you mind just signing it and sending it back to him? He gets back to me within 2 minutes. What's his address? So about 2 days later, I get a call. I'm seeing patients. In between patients, the secretary says, Dr. Gregg, your dad's on the line. So I said, hi, Dad. How's it going? There's a package here for you. And I said, no, I don't think it's for me. It's for you. No, I don't know anybody in LA. It's got to be for you. So I said, well, I'll come over after work. So I finished seeing patients, went over there. And sure enough, there's a package from Wayne Gretzky, an autographed jersey, a poster, and a signed letter saying, Dear Mr. Gregg, it was wonderful playing with your son all those years. Isn't it great to be 99, Wayne Gretzky? And I thought, how can he be that good?
Yeah.
We haven't played together in 10, 15 years. But that's what that team is all about. People say, oh, we'll have a great team. Mark Messier demanded it. Wayne Gretzky demanded it. And it was such a great opportunity for us to understand what a team's all about, because I've been on a lot of teams and they were magical leaders. And Wayne, what an amazing man he is.
Such a cool moment, because father's proud of his son's achievements. But then he's also like, yeah, but your buddy's with the greatest hockey player ever. And he sends me a gift on my 99th. Like, that gets you in the pretty good, cool son book at that point.
Well, it does. But what the end of the story was? He said, that's not from Wayne Gretzky. You must have sent it. I said, Dad, I wouldn't send that to you. I had to bring my brother over a day later to talk him into the fact that it actually came from Wayne, because why would Wayne Gretzky ever do that to you?
Yeah.
Because he's Wayne.
Yeah.
because he's Walter's son.
Oh, that is fantastic. So, you know what, Randy, you were you were telling us a story during the break about how you used to room with Lee Fogelin, and Glenn Anderson and Messier used to room together, and Glenn Sather was like, you know what, we need to split this up, and we'll have like a calm guy with a young buck together, and that didn't necessarily go as planned.
So no, Glenn was a real strategist, and he knew that he needed to control our young wild guys. I mean, not control them on the ice. I mean, Mark and Wayne were such a big part of our life. But you go to New York, and you'd like them to get 3 or 4 hours sleep anyway before the game. So that was a strategy that Mark would room with Lee, and Glenn Anderson would room with me. And it ended up that all 4 of us never got any sleep. So finally, after about 3 weeks, Glenn said, "Okay, let's switch." So Lee and I, being family men, we had kids at the time. At least we got good sleep. And those guys, I love them both. They're just wonderful. I got to tell you a quick story about Mark Messier. So Adam Graves was maybe the nicest man I've ever met. He was such a great man. He told me he lived 45 seconds from my dinner table, because I'd often come back after practice. He'd be in my playroom with my kids playing with them. That's what kind of guy he was. So when he got married in Windsor, he asked me to be the master of ceremony. Anyway, so we were there, and at that point he was playing with the New York Rangers along with Mark. And so I was up at the podium talking, and all of a sudden in walks this beautiful blonde bombshell from New York, and Mark is his date. And so he walks over to the New York Ranger table, sets her down, and looks over. And this is probably 7 or 8 years after we played, sees my wife with the empty chair, because I'm up at the podium, immediately comes over, gives my wife a kiss and a hug, and then goes, sits back with the Rangers. 7 years after we played together. I mean, that's when anybody says anything bad about Mark Messier, I'm going to drop the gloves, because he's a magical man, and he was such a big part of why he demanded that we become a great team. Yeah. And so, good friend. And whether I see him once a year or once every 20 years, those are memories that we'll remember forever.
Randy Gregg. Now, your wife, Kathy, of course, she was a speed skater, an Olympian in 76 and in 1980, and you met her at the Olympics, correct?
I did, yeah. I went down to Calgary to play for the Olympics, and I rented out a house from a couple of girls from Manitoba, and one of them said, there's this speed skater going to the Olympics. You may as well say hello. We're good friends. So, typically you go to the Olympics, and there's Canada House in the Olympics, and of course the hockey players are kind of bored. We're sitting there waiting to go home, and the luges come in, the bobsledders come in, and then these speed skaters come in. I said, holy smokes, look at that cute little thing. And I was really, quite timid, and I was there to play hockey. Anyway, in the Olympic Village 2 days later, this cute little thing came up to me and said, "Hi, I'm supposed to say hello." I said, "Good, good luck for me." So anyway, that was the start of a 40-year relationship.
Oh, that's fun. Now, Kathy's speed skater, so she could did she ever come out and skate with you guys just to see, Messier is pretty fast, but I'm guessing, Kathy could have given him a run for her money?
Before I met her, she lived in Winnipeg, and so she had a race against Anders Hedberg. If you remember Anders Hedberg, one of the Swedes that played with Bobby Hull, and they had a race. She was on her short track skates, and of course Anders was on his hockey skates, and they had 2 races, down and back twice. Well, of course, as a speed skater, you don't stop, so Anders did a pretty good job there, and then 2 laps around, and a lap and a half. Of course, she had trouble getting around his stick because he wouldn't skate with his hockey stick. Within a lap and a half, she went by her. An interesting assessment of what kind of athlete she was. She was about 5'5", maybe 125 pounds when she was going to the Olympics. We used to train together in the summer, and I think during the summer after our first Stanley Cup, so I was in pretty good shape, probably the best shape I've ever been. There's a machine over at the U of A at the gym where you can, it's a leg press machine. It has a little cylinder that shows you, and a gauge to show you what kind of power you have. So, 6'4", 220 pounds. I go under there, I push as hard as I can. I get up to 500. I'm pretty cocky, and I'm an NHL player, 500. Well, this little 5'5" girl gets on, she gets up to 500. I thought, damn, I must have slipped. Anyway, tried it 2 or 3 more times, couldn't get it. She told me that Gaetan Boucher, who's 5'8", 175 pounds, silver medalist in speed skating, could get that up to 1,500. So he had 3 times the power that I did at the peak of my hockey career. And she's 120 pounds, and she's as powerful as I am. So it made me realize if I was going to get in a fight, it wouldn't be with my wife, because she was a lot tougher than I was.
Well, you think about speed skaters, and I remember Katrina LeMay Doan. I've had the power of their thighs, like their butt muscle and their thighs, it's just so strong and powerful for, they do a ton of, and it's a different motion, obviously, in speed skating. Did you ever try speed skating?
Yeah, I sure did. And the first time I did was 11 o'clock at night down at the Oval, at Victoria Oval, because I thought, you know what, if I'm going to fall on my butt on skates, nobody else is going to see it.
Yeah.
So now I actually really enjoy it. All my kids, 2 of our kids went to the Olympics in speed skating. So it's a wonderful sport. And now we've got grandkids going out there having lots of fun. But the beauty of it is, and the great thing about a sport like that is when you're young, everybody wins, because a personal best means I'm a little faster than I was 2 weeks ago, where it's not a hockey game where half the people are happy and half the people lose. So it's a sport that I really enjoy. And obviously to be a great athlete, Kathy used to lose weight in the off season because it was muscle. She was hypertrophy. I used to gain weight because I'd eat too much. So there's lots of great athletes in many different sports, and speed skating is one of them.
Randy Gregg joins. So Randy, of course, you're a doctor, and you're playing in the NHL. How did that work? Like, so you put it on hold for you? Would you give assessments? Like, did your teammates ever come up to you, hey, Randy, what do you think this is?
Yeah, sometimes. And we had really, really good doctors for the team. But some people, Mark, for instance, Mark Messier was a big chicken, to be honest, to tell you. And if he was here today, I'd tell him that he hated needles. And so whenever he got cut, he'd ask me to stitch him up. Not that I was particularly good at it, but he figured, well, you're a hockey player. You know what it feels like. So I would often stitch Mark up a little bit. But I mean, we did have a good doctor, but it's nice to give him a little bit of an assessment. The problem with being an NHL player in Edmonton during those years is, if I went into a hospital, I'd sign 10,000 autographs and learn nothing. So you kind of had to put it on hold. It was a nice reflection of how popular the team was. It didn't really allow me to combine both of them. But that didn't mean I couldn't read on the road and things like that. Interestingly enough, people talk about the transition of hockey from the 1980s to now. I'm absolutely sure that if I brought a medical book on a road trip in the 80s, my teammates would have burned it on the way to the bar.
Yeah.
or to the, it's
different.
That was not what you do. You commit to play hockey. By the end of my career, we all had laptops. So I think it's really, really creative. They were smart players and really intelligent guys, but you had to focus on what you were going to do. And so that wasn't as easy. At university, of course, is a great combination of academics and athletics. And now it's really nice to see these young men and women that are playing high-level sports can combine academic involvement along with being the greatest athlete they can be.
Now, I skipped over this, and I want to go back to, you'd mentioned Claire Drake, and you're a firm believer that Claire Drake was a big reason why you were able to become a professional hockey player. What did he do as a coach that made you better or smarter, I guess, in your words?
So I played 4 years there. The first year at every practice, I didn't have a damn clue what was going on. I just followed the guy in front of me.
Okay.
The second year, I knew what I was doing. The third year, I was expecting the practice before the drill before it happened. And the fourth, I could run the practice. So 4 years of a great practice to game ratio, 5 practices, 2 games. In the NHL, it's a few practices, lots of games, because it is the NHL.
Yeah.
So the practice to game ratio was higher. And Claire Drake, it was interesting because he used to have 50-minute practices, 50 minutes. And I could hardly look him in the eye. I was so in awe of him. But at the end, when I became the captain, one of the captains of the team, I'd say, Coach, we could practice for 3 hours. And we have the rink. It's all ours. Why do we have 50-minute practices? He'd look at me and I'd say, it's all I need. So the intensity of his practice could never be amortized over 2 hours.
No.
By 50 minutes, you're exhausted.
Yeah.
But if you're going to practice slow, then you play slow.
Yeah.
And if you practice with high intensity. So I thought that was amazing. And I played with some other coaches. We practiced for 2 hours. What do you do? To survive, you go 60% speed.
Yeah.
And that was a good thing about the Oilers too. Sather was very good in keeping a high intensity practice. There was a guy named Doug Hallward. And Doug Hallward played with the Detroit Red Wings right before one of our playoffs. He got traded to our team, and Doug sat between me and Mark Messier in the dressing room. So after the first game, I looked over. Doug was a little bit disheveled and a little bit tired. I said, Doug, how was your first practice with the Oilers? And he looked up and he said, you guys practice harder than we play. And I thought, I wonder why we won the Stanley Cups.
Yeah.
Yeah, it made sense.
It does make sense. Randy Gregg, our guest today on Who Is It Wednesday, will return. We're going to talk about the success of the Riverhawks. Of course, league high in attendance last year. What's the expectation? Where did those ideas come from? We'll find out next on the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
It's a triumphant return to the airwaves. Hi, I'm Colin from Cantork, and this is a great call. Cantork proudly continues our partnership with Jason Gregor, eagerly rejoining his team on Sports 1440.
Building or renovating, you want to work with someone who sees and understands your vision. BIE Engineering is a family-owned, experienced structural engineering consulting firm serving commercial and residential clients in Edmonton and surrounding area. Homeowner or large company, they'll work with you to help see your ideas through. BIE Engineering can help prevent problems, deliver solutions, and minimize your risk. BIE Engineering. Request a quote for your project today. Visit bieeng.com.
A solid financial plan is made up of more than just investments. Investments are an important part, but you need a more comprehensive approach. Andy Akel at Weird Pearson Akel & Associates Private Wealth Management understands that. He can help build a plan that includes retirement, estate planning, personal insurance, tax strategies, and yes, investments. Talk to him today and see the difference a real financial plan makes. Weird Pearson Akel & Associates. Call 780-988-4119 or visit weirdadvisoryteam.com.
Rodeo clowning felt like an exciting opportunity. Boy, was I ever wrong. The bulls. So predictable. But you know what's exciting and unpredictable? PlayAlberta.ca. I can bet on any sports game, play online casino games anytime, and buy lottery tickets anywhere.
PlayAlberta.ca. Go all in on excitement. Sign up today and get over $100 in welcome bonuses. Remember, if you gamble, use your game sense.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
Full-service provider of heavy haul transportation and rigging at the highest level. Next Gen Transportation.
We're developing new and innovative ways to transport oversized and overweight equipment to remote and challenging locations.
Our Next Gen team leads with a wealth of experience and expertise. But most importantly, we put safety first, so everyone gets home safely.
We also take great pride in supporting our local community programs and teams. Good luck to everyone this season and in the year ahead.
Visit nextgentransportation.com.
Denham Ford's roots run deep in the history of Central Alberta. Like always, you can experience the same honest pricing and honest service that you've come to expect from all of us at Denham Ford for the past 65 years. Denham Ford is proud to be Canada's only 50-time President Award-winning dealership in customer satisfaction, treating every customer like family. Visit Denham Ford on the world-famous Wetaskiwin Auto Mile or from home at denhamford.ca.
Cars cost less than Wetaskiwin.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Mr. Reuter Plumbing. At Mr. Reuter, they only employ the finest organic, grain-fed, free-range plumbers for all your plumbing needs. Go to mrreuter.ca.
Sports Radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Rolling through 344 at Edmonton Sports Leader TSN 1260. Of course, our big guest today, Randy Gregg, Olympian, a doctor, 5-time Stanley Cup champion, and a co-owner of the Edmonton Riverhawks, who just set a league record in attendance. Randy, and I remember when you guys announced the team was coming, and I remember specifically having you on the show, and you talked about how we're going to make baseball more than just the game. And it can't be just snap your fingers. You built. So what have you learned now? Because I'm sure, like anything, what you think it's going to be like is probably a lot different than now you get in and we're like, geez, we're owner of this baseball league. How's it gone? What's been the kind of the key learning points for you the last few years with the Riverhawks?
Yeah, so like any decent business, I think we had a business plan that showed that this could be, if run properly, it could be successful, not just financially, that we're not too worried about that, but but in the community-wise, the people would accept it really well. One of the best things we did was we hired a general manager named Steve Hogle, and Steve's been involved in media for a long time. Steve gets it. Steve realizes that if all you do is try to make the last dollar, it gets really old really quickly. What he wants to do is he wants to take a sporting event and make it an entertainment event.
Yeah.
And we also had some criteria. We had to have some lower tickets. I don't care about my family. They can afford a $300, $500, $600 ticket. I want a $20 ticket or a $10 ticket for a child to be able to come. Maybe those families that it's not quite as easy to go see a sporting event, I want them to be exposed to a unique sport. It's not hockey, but it's a sport that many of us have played when we're younger. And of course, the facility. I mean, it is the crown jewel of the West Coast League. It's arguably the second best baseball stadium in Canada, other than Rogers Centre in Toronto. So we all have a passion, and I think our volunteers have a passion. We have a number of owners, 30 people who've and it's not a major ownership, but they just have their heart and soul in that. So our volunteers are happy, they are excited, and we have to pay the bills, of course. That's why businesses work, but the success is watching that little kid who's cheering on his team, or the fellow who's got a beer bat and he's drinking a $6 beer and not a $14 beer. The ability to go on the into the field. Well, for years and years, you could never go on the field. Go to Yankee Stadium, they shoot you before you get on the field. And we said, no, this is our field. This is our community field. So after every game, we let it go on the field. It's amazing to see these young kids. My grandchildren are running the bases with the biggest smiles on their face. And people say, what happens if they put litter on the field? I'll pick it up.
Yeah.
It's worth it. I will be there till 12 o'clock and then picking it up, because fans deserve that. Edmontonians deserve that. So I think we've made some bad mistakes and some good decisions to make sure we're community based. Steve Hogle's a great leader. We've got a good young Edmonton based coach, and these are all young men who are student collegiate athletes who want to come have some fun. We want to show them Edmonton. We want to put them up with homestays and really give them a good experience. But they want to make Major League Baseball. They want to come and get repetitions. We give them a fob, so at 12 o'clock at night, they can go into the dressing room, work out if they want. And, if I was their age, it's exactly what I'd want.
And you mentioned the running on the field, because I took my son to a few games last year, and then the first time, it's one of his friends wanted to leave. It was like the seventh inning. He's like, no, we got to stay because you can run on the field. And he's like, what? And it just changes. And all of a sudden they're out there and they're running the bases and they're chiming themselves to see how fast you can run from home to first. And when you get on the field and you're 8 and 9 years old, you realize, geez, it is a little bit farther to first base, right? And they have a lot of fun with it, which is fantastic. Because baseball, like, it's funny you're saying, well, baseball was my sport. So, you're an Olympian and you're a Stanley Cup champion, but you're like, but baseball's my sport.
The funny thing about baseball, I think, hockey is a great sport, but it's 30 below in Edmonton. You go to the community league, you play, you're cold, your father and mother drive you home, and that's it. In baseball, you go and play for 2 hours, then you sit around for 3 hours with your buddies. There's a dugout, so you can stay there like you're something special. And, I happen to have some skills in baseball. Unfortunately, the time that I could get a scholarship down in the States, I was in medical school, so I thought I better not give up that gig. That might be something long-term. But I want to see our young Canadian or young Edmonton players get a chance to play. Right now, we have an Edmonton collegiate team. These are players that some of them play with the Riverhawks, but not all of them. But they're young fellows. They're neighbors of yours and mine. They go to Grant MacEwan. They go to university, go to Concordia or King's College, and they love baseball. So you'll go down there. I'll go down there 5 o'clock tonight. They'll be out there practicing. We started with 23. Last year was 35. This year we've got 60 players out there, and they just absolutely love the game. So as much as the fan will come to see 27 Riverhawks games, there's lots going on down there. We've had a bar mitzvah, a Harry Ainley graduation. We have concerts and things like that. And, I think Edmontonians deserve that, and we want to share it with the community.
So you had an opportunity. Now, were you a pitcher? Were you a fielder? Where were you when you played ball?
Yeah, so I was a hitter. I did pitch a little bit, and when I was young, we went to the national championships. I got kind of lucky. I hit 7 home runs in the last 3 games. We won the national championships, and it was.
And who were you playing for?
I was playing for a team called the Edmonton Tigers. So Ray Brown or franchise people like that. Anyway, before the national championships, the president of Baseball Canada said, "We're going to take the best players, and you'll represent Canada. Go to Italy." Well, I'd never been outside of Canada. My God, are you kidding me? I could play for Team Canada, go to Italy. That was before the Olympics and things. anyway, at the end, I got pretty lucky, hit some home runs and pitched a one-hitter against PEI. And so it worked out pretty well. Got the MVP. And shortly afterwards, the president came to me, Randy, really good job. Boy, it was amazing what you did, but we're not going to take you. And I said, okay.
Why?
Because you don't go to the college in the United States. I was going to the U of A. And I thought, okay, I thanked him for some reason. I'm not sure why I thanked him. But I realized that just because we don't go to the United States college doesn't mean we're not good athletes.
100%.
And so that's one of the beautiful things. We want to give opportunities for these young players that have a passion for baseball in our Northern Alberta communities. Give them a chance to be the best they can. Maybe they'll never go to the Olympics. Maybe they'll never play MLB, but they'll get a chance to be the best they can be.
You just shown that you're pretty good, but it's like, well, who cares where you go to school? It'd be like saying, well, we can't draft you because you're not from Edmonton. You're playing, in Redwater or small town. You didn't play in a big market, so we can't draft you. Like, it's foolish. That's rather closed-minded thinking. Is Dr. Randy Gregg joins us here on Sports 1440, and Who Is It Wednesday. Now, Randy, very interesting. I always like kind of hearing life stories from different people. We had Ken Dryden on the show, and I'd asked you if you've ever met Ken Dryden. You said no, but I watched him, and you got to go. You and your brother went to Russia for the 72 series. You were 16, so your brother would have been 18, 19?
23.
Oh, it's 20. Okay. So you go there. Explain how it was, how you got tickets, where you're sitting, and what was the atmosphere as a Canadian at the 72 Summit Series in Russia?
Yeah. So anyway, 16 years old. I was in first year university.
At 16?
Yeah, I don't know how I did that. Kind of got lucky, I guess. But anyway, my brother was 23 and he wanted to go to see this Canada-Russia series. Maybe it might be kind of a famous series, but none of his friends could afford it. It cost $700, all inclusive for 2 weeks, airfare, accommodations, everything, tickets, everything involved, $700, which was a lot of money back then. Anyway, so we came to my mom and my mom said, well, why don't you take your little brother? Oh, I guess I'll take my little brother. So at 16, I got to tag along. Anyway, we went there and we were able to see the Paul Henderson goal and things like that. But and of course, we were very proud Canadians. I've met Alan Eagleson a lot and through my Olympic and national team program. And to be very honest, a lot of Canadians that were there were a little bit embarrassed with Eagleson's antics.
Yeah.
These Russian people were honest, hardworking people. It was the Iron Curtain, so they all had black and dark brown coats and things like that. There was nothing exciting in their life at that point in time, but they really couldn't figure out why this Eagleson would have been pulled out of the stands and onto the ice and all the things that happened. So in that regard, as a Canadian, we were a little bit disappointed because these Russians who we sat around, 16,000 of them, were kind of shaking their heads saying, I thought I came to a hockey game. What's going on here? Now, after saying that, when you take a look at the replays, I mean, those Russians were pretty dirty. They'd hit the guys in the Achilles and things like that. I can see why the players got upset, but that's what happened in international hockey.
100%.
I mean, we're not playing the NHL. We're
pretty sure
playing
Bobby
against
Clark gave a few wicked slashes.
He did that over the time. Anyway, what was really interesting is that when Paul Henderson did score the goal and we went back to our hotel, it was Hotel Ukraine, we were on the 12th floor, and on every floor there was an old Russian family that took care of the janitorial. These families probably never got out of the hotel. Anyway, unfortunately, there was no Coke or milk back there. You either had vodka or you had champagne. Well, I was 16. So after the dinner, we were kind of a little bit happy because Canada did win. It was a great thing. And we went to our hotel lobby, the 12th floor, and the lady was there and we said, hey, Canada, we won. And she looked us in the eye, and this lady probably didn't know hockey puck from basketball. And she gave us a slashing motion, like Canada, Russian yet. And I thought, here's this lady who, an hour after we won, realized how dirty Canada was. Now, I'm not going to blame it on the Canadians. Those guys were wonderful. They gave up a lot of their time, and you read the books, fabulous athletes. But it wasn't in Russia what it was like in Canada.
Yeah.
And it was a glorious time for hockey in Canada and all of those players. I mean, Ken Dryden, what an amazing man, what a role model, what a great player he was. So, good for all of them.
Well, it's interesting because when you just think of how lucky we were to live in Canada, and so you're able to cheer and say what you want, and if the team's playing terrible, you can rip on them. And then the Russian citizens, a very different very different world that they're living in, right? They wouldn't have been able to express themselves. It's hard to have the same passion, excitement for your team when your government and your country doesn't necessarily allow you to have that passion in your everyday life.
Absolutely. And thank God the Iron Curtain is down now. But one example of that, one of the Canadian fans, there was probably 300 or 400 of us it was Nicky Stadium back then, but one had a big horn, and he'd blow the horn. Of course, you can't do that in Russia, not back then. So the military police were all around, and the military policeman would go up to his aisle and ask for the horn, like, you can't be doing that. Well, by that time, he'd passed the horn down to all his buddies, and it was somewhere else in the Canadian contingent. So, of course, the Canadians are kind of laughing, like, hey, we took one over the Russian. But I looked around at the Soviet people, and they're sort of shaking their head like, how could you do that? Like, we don't have that luxury. We don't have the ability to be independent, to make decisions, to do what we want. And so not only was it a great experience to see great hockey, but I went to Moscow many times, played in that stadium before the '88 Olympics. So I was back after the Berlin Wall was brought down. And, it's really nice to see that the Russian people and all Eastern European people have much more autonomy and independence than they did then. It was a dark time then.
For sure. Randy, I want to circle, kind of come full circle and end with your time with the Edmonton Oilers. And, you came in the 1982 playoffs and, the miracle on Manchester. So not a great start, but a little adversity. And then, a few years later, you win your first Stanley Cup. And then, you kind of look at your career. You came back in 1988. And then, Gretzky, of course, got traded that summer. You guys lost that year. The 1990 Cup without Wayne. And just, can you talk about the importance of it for the core guys to win without Wayne? How important was it? And how maybe was it a different type of satisfaction when you won that cup?
No, I think I can speak for every single one of those that we would have given anything to have Wayne Gretzky still on our team.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it was out of his control, it was out of our control. There was no glory in winning a cup without such an integral man. What really was exciting is, remember, we had three young players, Adam Graves, as I mentioned, Martin Jelena, and Joe Murphy. And, I had 4 Stanley Cups. I'm not the most greedy person in the world. I didn't need a 5th one, but I needed the 5th one because it was Adam Graves' first one.
Okay.
And so I remember we did beat Boston, and it was, I think, the only Stanley Cup we won away from Edmonton. And the Boston Gardens was just a piece of, it was awful.
Yeah, it was.
And the dressing room had rats and things like that. But I remember after we won, sitting there arm in arm with Adam, we could hardly move because, you're pretty exhausted at the end of that. And just enjoying the experience of seeing this young man get his first Stanley Cup. Yeah, so that was, there's different motivations and different things that you get out of wins like that. But I do remember the 5th one, really being able to share it with those young men.
Now, do you remember the brawl in LA? I think it was 1989, Marty McSorley and Messier went at it. And I've talked to a few of the other players because you had so much respect for Wayne. And guys admitted that, geez, I didn't really play him that hard in 1989. And then Sather came in the room and said, guys, look at him. He's celebrating. Like, you're all best friends off the ice, but come game time, you're out there and he's going to take what you want and vice versa. But do you remember the brawl in LA? And is there anything that stands out for you that night?
Yeah, it's really, really hard to turn it on and off. You coach your son. That's the sport of hockey.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of hockey. This is the business of hockey. And on a Thursday, Dave Brown is your teammate and someone who sits beside you in the dressing room. And the next day he's playing with another team. We're big guys. If we didn't like that, we quit and go on to something else.
Sure.
But it's not an easy time. But to be able to turn the page and say it doesn't matter, the years that we spent in the trenches together is just not right.
Yeah.
So it is harder. Kelly Buchberger, for instance, when I played in Vancouver, we were playing a game in Edmonton, and Kelly came in and rammed me into the boards, and he said, "Hey, sorry, Doc." I said, "Kelly, don't be sorry. This is your job, you know." But it was hard because we were such good friends, and he didn't want to hurt me. He wanted to play the game. First, play the game. So it's a hard one like that. And they are not just hockey players, they're men and they're friends and they're teammates. And so it is part of the game. And I think that's part of what determines the success of any team is to do that. Interesting. I should mention one thing, because our team was kind of a microcosm of many different successes and failures. We see this year that the Oilers lose the first 2 games. And of course, my my patients come in, not all of them, but many. Well, what do you think of the game? Well, first of all, I didn't see it, but I want to spend 5 minutes telling about a story. And it was back during the day when we were winning a lot of Stanley Cups, and we were playing against Hartford.
Oh, yeah.
And the day before, Hartford was playing Calgary. Calgary came in and just beat the crap out of them, beat them 7-2 or something like that. We were sitting in the stands watching, rested, everything like that. We thought this next game is going to be really easy. Anyway, we go out, we're losing 7-0 after the second period to the same team that Calgary beat the day before. Anyway, Hartford didn't have a very nice dressing room either. So at the end of the second period, Glenn Sather came in. He was yelling, he was smoking his, smoke coming out of his ears. And he said, guys, this is ridiculous. This is embarrassing. He said, you might not win this game, but at least don't let him score any more goals. So we go out in the third period, and Charlie and Paul start on defense, and they dump the puck in. And Grant Fuhr, I think, was in the net. Anyway, Paul gets the puck. He goes around the net. Well, there's a puddle of water, and the puck sticks in the water. Their player comes in, scores 8-0, 8 seconds into the third period. Well, anyway, I look over, and Lee Fogel and Kevin Loba said, we're giggling because we're saying, thank God it wasn't us, because they're not going to send Paul Coffey to the minors. And Sather just went crazy. We went back the next day, and it was a 2-hour skate, a bag skate. And in fact, Wayne Gretzky wasn't on the trip. He was injured, I think, and he had the 2-hour skate. And he said, why are you skating me? I wasn't even part of that game. Yeah. But it kind of goes to show that you have to have a little bit of a light side to a very serious profession.
Well, I think it was Dave Lumley who told me, because he took a major penalty that game, and he was in the penalty box, and I think Hartford scored like 3 or 4 power play goals, and he just kept hearing the Brass Bonanza, and he's like, God, I hate that song. Like, he just gets, because you're there, and then it just keeps playing, and you're like, oh, now it's just, you're sinking lower and lower because you feel bad, because obviously if they weren't on the power play, they might not be scoring. So it's a funny thing that is, and that's the first year of your Stanley Cup. And so there's no easy ascension to a Stanley Cup. There's probably a lot of pitfalls and disappointments before you finally hoist the cup.
Well, there is, and it's interesting. So the comment about the first 2 losses, the Edmonton Oilers, we never had an easy game. Hartford had a poor game against Calgary, and they had their best game because we were the Edmonton Oilers. And what I think this Edmonton Oilers team is going to do is the same thing. They're not going to have an easy game. It's hard because every game is tough, but it's great because that develops your character. So I think those losses are not losses, they're learning experiences. And although nobody likes to see the Oilers lose, a good coach, and I don't know their coach, but he seems like a great man, they're going to turn that into a positive learning experience. They can't afford to have a weak day, just like us years ago, because you're going to see the best of every opponent. It's going to make you a playoff contender.
Randy, thank you very much for coming in studio. Thanks for what you're doing with your team, with the Riverhawks. I know the baseball community is loving it. There's so many people that enjoy that. So we look forward to the games next summer. Continued success in everything you do.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks for your time, Jason.
That is Dr. Randy Gregg on Who Is It Wednesday. We'll get to Connor Halley and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, home of the no payments, no interest for 1 year on your furnace. Stay warm all winter at legacyheating.ca.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
2 games on the ice tonight in the NHL. The Capitals travel to Ottawa, taking on the Sens at 5 and at 5:30. It's a rematch of the 2008-2009 Stanley Cup Finals as the Red Wings host the Penguins. Game 3 of the ALCS goes tonight from Arlington as the Rangers look to go up 3-0 over the Houston Astros. First pitch set for 6:03 in the AJ. 3 games on the schedule. Spruce Grove hosting Lloyd at 7 down at Grant Fuhr Arena. Elsewhere, Sherwood Park in Olds and Bonneville hosting Brooks. The Jacksonville Jaguars have signed Canadian quarterback Nathan Rourke to their 53-man roster ahead of Thursday night's game against the New Orleans Saints. Starter Trevor Lawrence currently questionable with a knee injury, and Mecole Hardman currently heading back to the Kansas City Chiefs. ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting the 25-year-old is returning to the team he won 2 Super Bowls with as part of a late-round pick swap with the New York Jets. And from the world of soccer, Brazilian forward Neymar tore his ACL and meniscus while playing in a World Cup qualifying game. The 31-year-old Neymar will require surgery. No timetable has been set for his return. Coming up in hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by former NHLer Mike Rupp, and we'll talk a little Major League Baseball playoffs with Levi Weaver of The Athletic. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 Update.
Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
What you eating there?
Oh, just a Leon's $10,000 shopping spree in a Chevy Colorado.
And how do you plan to get all that from a Big Mac?
Monopoly Double Play.
Monopoly Double Play?
First, I peel on pack, then I peel an app. 2 ways to play and win.
So basically, you're potentially holding the most lucrative Big Mac ever?
No, I'm potentially eating the most lucrative Big Mac ever.
Now you can double play at McDonald's for more ways to win millions of prizes. While supplies last, chances of winning change as prizes are claimed. Chances of winning McD's at prizes based on time of code entry. See rules at participating McDonald's in Canada or at mcdpromotion.ca.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is the #1 place for people who want heating and cooling, because you'll save a bundle and get both with a heat pump. Then you can use hot, cold, hot, cold. Come on, thermostat, do what you're told. Turn up the heat, turn up the cold, so the vents start pushing out tornadoes. Time for a heat pump, bring it to me! Gonna get a deal from Legacy! Your heat pump from Legacy will heat and cool while saving you a bundle in energy costs. Plus, you'll get a rebate up to $5,000 and no payments, no interest for 1 year. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need: Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
Excavators, loaders, lifts, compaction equipment, and more. Find the XCMG construction equipment you need. Available for rental or sale at Japa Machinery Group. Japa, helping build Alberta from the ground up for 50 years. Visit japamachinery.com.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
You can't predict exactly how your harvest will go. So here's the next best thing: InvigorResults.ca. Featuring localized and replicated trial results, you can see how InVigor canola hybrids could perform in your fields. But more importantly, the results demonstrate our consistent track record and undisputed leadership, giving you the confidence to flex your harvest muscle season after season. Go to InVigorResults.ca to see results in your area today.
Tackle winter weather with the X-Series snowblowers from Cub Cadet. Available in single, 2, and 3-stage models, the X-Series is engineered with powerful engines to quickly break through snow. Select models come with additional features like power steering for ease of handling and heated hand grips for comfort in cold conditions. Be prepared for winter with the Cub Cadet X-Series. Stop into Highline Motorsports, your locally owned Cub Cadet dealer at 4715 39th Ave in Wetaskiwin for expertise in finding the right equipment for your landscaping needs.
The shot of moving one.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Japa Machinery. Japa is digging deep on their 50-year history of supporting Alberta's construction industry with their line of special edition Blackout excavators. Visit japamachinery.com for all the details.
Sports Radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
But I can get behind anything. Yeah, I can get behind anything.
Welcome back. Oh my goodness. Randy Gregg. Fantastic. I love Who Is It Wednesday. We had Ken Dryden earlier. That was awesome. And Randy Gregg, what a storyteller. Are you kidding me? That story about coffee, like the details of knowing exact 8 seconds in. Oh, they're down 7-0. Whatever you do, don't let them score 8 seconds in. It's 8-0. Oh, and you could just imagine Sather losing his marbles at that point. So really good stuff from Randy. Articulate, well-spoken. And you know what? The Riverhawks are doing great. So Steve Hogle and the gang down there, it's fantastic. So shout out to Randy for joining us today for an hour, man. I could have kept him for a long time. It's fantastic. And so go from one good storyteller to another as we go around the NHL on the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, presented by McDonald's. Stop in, baby, right now, because guess what? There's more chances for you to win in your favorite game. Monopoly is back. You can peel it or you can peel it on the app. More chances to win. Get all the rules at McDpromotion.ca. McDpromotion.ca. As we are joined by analyst for the Pittsburgh Penguins, former Stanley Cup winner, ace analyst on the NHL Network, Mike Rupp joins us. Rupper, how you doing?
I'm good. What's up, Greg? How are you, buddy?
Man, I am doing excellent. Really well. Hey, you got the beard going pretty thick, man. You're like in playoff mode, I see right now, eh?
Yeah, it's I don't really know. It's kind of just letting it be right now. I just haven't really gotten around that. No, I'm more got to be getting into like the beard dye good form because it's starting to be very gray. So
are you thinking of going just for men on the beard?
Oh yeah. I mean, I kind of do it for now. I'd say probably do it once a month, once every month and a half, but I'm starting to be a little more frequent with it. So it might be looking thicker here soon because it's going to be jet black.
Well, there you go. I like it. What you should do, man, is dye the beard and then have like the Hulkster, have it black and then have some yellow. Come on, for Halloween.
Straight lines, like just solid, just dye my skin basically.
Oh yeah, and you should do it for Halloween. Be on the broadcast for Halloween. You could be the Hulkster. You kidding me?
And just let it continue. It's like I like it. I like the look.
Why not? Yeah, try it out. People would love it. I'll vote for it for sure. Now everybody's. I'm sure, Rupper. I don't care. You've played golf somewhere. You've played hockey. You felt good about certain rinks more than others for whatever reason, right? Maybe you scored someplace. Leon Draisaitl's kind of taking it to a new level right now, man. Like he's got 22 goals and 34 points in his last 12 games against the Nashville Predators. Like it's literally like video game numbers.
It is. And I think the only thing Andrew Brunette is new to coaching Nashville. So he might be, I'm sure he was aware of that going into the game, but maybe because it hasn't affected him directly as far as the teams he's coached. Maybe he didn't adjust in particular ways, but like I'm literally having someone climb up Leon's jersey the whole game, follow him around. Like honestly, that's where it's at. I mean, you gotta have someone to just go out there and then that's what makes Edmonton so dangerous, right? So all right, cool. You're gonna try to make it difficult and just shadow him all over the ice. Well, they've got other guys that could certainly hurt you. But what he has done to Nashville, I've never seen it in our game in the last 25 years. Who has numbers like that against anybody? I think I saw today that's only 10 guys have averaged whatever the statistical category was in NHL history against one team that like what Leon's doing right now. Yeah. And that blows my mind. But what actually blows my mind even more is what I saw with him becoming the all-time franchise leader in power play goals. Yeah. The guy's not, what is he, 28 here soon? I don't think he's 28 yet. And he's all that organization? You're kidding me, right? So I don't know. My mind is blown what he is doing and what he has done up to this point in his career. It's super impressive.
Well, he scored 128 power play goals in 641 games. Gretzky had 125 in 696. Now, the power play efficiency in the 80s isn't what it was, but the Oilers' power play, it's the greatest we've ever seen. Last year, for 1 year, it's been 29% over the last 4 seasons. They're obviously off to a good start again. And it's just, it's him and a good power play is not just one guy. Right. Like I was looking at it, McDavid's assisted on 96 of those 128 goals. So there's still 30 some that McDavid's not assisting on, right? Like they're good. And Nugent Hopkins can step in. And now the defenseman, it kind of doesn't really matter whether it's Nurse, Clefbaum, Barry, Bouchard. They have a lot of success regardless. But as a guy who used to penalty kill, when you watch their power play, And just when you think you've got it figured out, Rupper, they'll come in with this new wrinkle, right? Like, I don't see how on, and plus you always have an extra attacker on, right? Like, it's not like you can go 5-on-5 and say, okay, well, now we can shut them down. It's 5-on-4. And if they complete their passes, eventually they'll find the open guy.
They're not, when I watch them, they're not married to their routes that they want to run. And you practice those, you know what you want. But listen, like, I found this to actually be something in the past that and maybe it's still happening nowadays in these power play meetings. Like, this is what we like to run. This is what we would like to do. You don't think that they know that the PK is scouting this? Like, they won't let you get to that. So how about, like, let's just have reads of how to support one another, where our automatic outs are, right? Like, you always know pressure and you don't know where to go. You put some more of those staples in the game. When I watch them, they have their plays they like to run, but then they also freelance, and they know. And we've said it on here before. When Connor has the puck and Leon slips out of sight, that's concerning. When it's vice versa and Connor slips out of sight, that's concerning. And you're going to pay attention. You're going to shrink in the zone, and you're going to try to get closer to each other to keep them on the outside. And then next thing you know, because of your decisions you've made, you've given up a one-timer in the middle of the ice to Nuge or Zach Hyman's backdoor for a tap-in, or you've got the big bomb from Bouchard. Like, they're not stagnant. And if there is a power play that you could say could be stagnant, it's theirs, because they're so talented. They should be able to just rip the puck around and pop, go through seams and whatever. They don't. And when you movement equals confusion for a penalty kill, and the Oilers are the best at doing that.
I honestly, I've been watching, and I've talked to some defensive players, and I'm like, so how do you slow it down? And a lot of them, they literally are like, they don't have an answer to it, Rupper. Like, I honestly, it's such a weapon that Edmonton has. And, once their 5-on-5 scoring was actually tied for 5th in the NHL last year. So I guess you could be first, right? So really the only thing holding this team back is once they learn how to defend better, right? And once they figure that out consistently, and they don't have to be like the New Jersey Devils of the 90s good defensively, because you can score enough. They just have to be consistently competent. And I don't see how they couldn't win a cup if they can ever do that and just get consistent, not spectacular goaltending.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where it's at. I mean, they're so dominant in one area, and I like the fact that they know that they're dominant in one area, that they keep leaning into that. The other thing's just got to be, I mean, you're not even talking like significantly better. Just a little better as the season goes on, a little better from year to year, and this year just kind of keep growing in what you're doing. And then, I think this roster has the players that find that groove, find that role that I've said it on here numerous times, the game management. Like, I want this roster, what I'm looking for this team this year, I don't need to see anything else from the big guys. I don't need to see anything else from the power play. It doesn't even need to be the level it was last year. It's still going to be good. It's going to be dominant. It's going to be enough. I want to see that this stage of the game, the decisions that the guys make on the ice, whether it's 97 or if it's a fourth liner or if it's the top defenseman or defenseman 6, you're going to play the scoreboard and just find ways to win games when things aren't going the way you want. When you're not playing Nashville and getting 3 points from Leon, like when you're playing a team where maybe you have a night where offense is you're just not feeling it. You're not getting the looks. The team's kind of slowing you down. All right, well, let's just make sure we don't give them any free passes. We don't have to win the same way all the time. We just have to win all the time. I think that's a key thing for an elite team like Edmonton. You want it to look a certain way, and it probably does look that way 85% of the time. But there's going to be some times where you feel like crap, and Connor's not going to be putting points up. Doesn't happen very often, and maybe Leon's not feeling it that night. Well, can you win that 1-0 game? We saw that last year. They've done that. So just do that more consistently and manage the game. I'm totally confident where this team is at and where they're going to be at the end of the year. I think they'll be fine.
Mike Rupp joins us. It's super early in the season. The Carolina Hurricanes have been one of the best defensive teams the last few years in the league. They don't give up a lot of shots. They don't give up a lot of goals. Early on this season, they're not giving up a lot of shots, only 25. But their goaltenders are leaking goals. They've allowed 17 goals in 4 games for Carolina, and they've only allowed 25 shots per game. And they're not even allowing a lot of quality chances. Ranta and Anderson have guys with a history of injury issues. Whether it's for a month here or there. Are you at all concerned about the goaltending in Carolina? Because I was looking, those guys, this is like year 3, and they've progressively just seen their numbers erode over the last 3 years.
Yeah, so I think this is the kind of catch-22 with that team. And I love a lot of the ways they play. And I've thought of them as being a cup favorite for the last number of years. And they generally have done a very good job of insulating whatever goalie's in net. Like we've seen numerous goalies play for them and have success. Kochetkov, Anderson, Ranta. You can go on. You go even back a few years. You go to Nedeljkovic, like guys who thrived there. And it's because they played a certain way. I wonder if, in the big thing that we've asked about them for the last number of years has been, do they have the finishers? Can they score goals at the right time? Has this team gotten sloppy with trying to that narrative? Are they letting that narrative drive it too much where they're cheating for offense? Because don't forget, just like we talked about Edmonton, knowing who they are offensively and leaning into that and continue to lean into it. Don't forget who you are if you're the Carolina Hurricanes. Like, I get it. You want to score more and have more finishers because a lot of your metrics show that you dominate games, but the scoreboard doesn't always show it. All right, but don't change your defensive game. And you need to get the goaltending too. So I agree with you. Like, that's a vulnerable position for me there. But I do believe when this team plays the way they're capable of playing, that it almost doesn't matter who's in net. It's almost like the Vegas Golden Knights. I almost categorize them as the same way. It looks different, but they give their goalies a chance. It's been a tough start for them, but it was a tough start until last night. The LA Kings look like junk too. They haven't been getting goaltending. That's supposed to be an elite team. So these teams are still trying to kind of figure that out.
Mike Rupp joins us on Sports 1440 and Oilers Nation YouTube. So when do you remotely get concerned about a team? Mike, it's 4 games. Like last year, the Seattle Kraken led the NHL in 5-on-5 shooting percentage by a significant margin. Like they were at a 10 point, I think it was 3-4. There was only 3 teams in the NHL that were within 1 full percentage of them. Like they were way higher than like the 5th place Montreal Canadiens, who were at 9-1-6. And here we are. Obviously it's early, but the Kraken, they can't score. They got 3 goals in 4 games. I thought there would be a regression. Obviously I didn't think it would be this serious, but confidence is a big thing. And last year it just seemed like they would rotate every game. A new guy was scoring and everybody just kept, this is great. They're singing Kumbaya and everybody's scoring. When do you get concerned about a team that doesn't have a lot of natural scorers and they're not scoring?
To give like an actual time, I mean, I think it's when, if you can't get I don't want to say at what point would you get a win. I think when you're talking, when you're getting up to available, say 20 points, that's 10 games, right?
Yeah.
If you're in low single digits, like that's bad. But I think it starts before 10 games. Okay. I think that's like 7 games. It's you need to still find ways. It doesn't have to look good. It doesn't have to look perfect, but you still need results. I think Vancouver's a good example of that. And, they got the 2 big wins against Edmonton. But I went back and looked at some of the clips there, and I'm not talking Edmonton here. I don't think Edmonton was good at all in game 1. But Vancouver gave up a lot of crap. Like it wasn't like they were like a very good, this team's different. Like, but the fact of the matter is they got points, and that's all that matters is they got wins. Figure that stuff out as you go along. But if you're Seattle, like eventually you need some results. And your game, you don't have to feel great about it. You've got 82 games to feel good about your game. And that's the goal, is just to get better, but you still need results. And that kind of goes to we've been talking about in this whole conversation. Same thing with Edmonton, like just finding ways to win. And it's being comfortable with being uncomfortable, if that makes any sense. Like just just figuring it out. And that doesn't really give you anything to, what does that mean? I mean, it can mean 100 different things. It's a lot of word salad I'm kind of giving right now, but that's what it is. I mean, you got to navigate through it. I know it's not great right now for Seattle. Figure it out, man. Like, all right, what can we lean into? What are we doing? What can we do now to help this? Because last year we had a team full of guys having career years. Okay. Some of those guys have moved on to other teams. You can't expect every guy that has a career year to match that. And that's what I think we're seeing there. They won early on last year because of goal scoring, and they did it at a very high level. Not a lot of things are going their way right now. They got to kind of figure this out real quick.
Rupper, great stuff, man. We appreciate it. Enjoy the broadcast. We look forward to the Hulk Hogan coming up soon. We'll talk to you next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday, you might see it. I'll do the I'll do the hockey here too. So let's go.
I love it. That is Mike Rupp from the NHL Network. 424, a little bit late. We'll take a quick break. We'll return. Got lots more hockey talk on the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, live on Oilers Nation YouTube, presented by our title sponsor, PlayAlberta.ca.
At The Brick, we're not just proud of this city and its rich sports history. We're proud partners of it. The Brick started right here in Edmonton over 50 years ago. And when we're not cheering on the Oilers and Oil Kings live at the game, or the Edmonton Elks under the bright stadium lights, we're in our stores, providing everything you need to cheer them on in your home. The Brick, supporting Edmonton sports teams and fans since 1971, saving you more.
Some things just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients, better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20% off any regular menu price order. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. That's Sports20.
I got into reffing for the excitement.
He's going for the chair.
Turns out wrestling is completely scripted. But you know what's exciting and unscripted? PlayAlberta.ca. With an all-new sportsbook, odds boosts, and betting on any game.
PlayAlberta.ca. Go all in on excitement. Sign up today with promo code SPORTS50 and get a $50 free bet. Official gaming partner of the Edmonton Oilers. Remember, if you gamble, use your game sense.
Are you ready to light up your game like Edmonton lights up the ice? Then choose Ewell. Electrical Wholesalers Edmonton Limited offers lightning fast service. Just like your favorite forward, they deliver your electrical supplies in record time.
Plus winning quality. They only stock the best.
And don't forget about their all-star support. When it comes to customer service, they're the playmakers.
So don't sit in the dark. Make the power play and visit Ewell today. Online at ewel.ca, where excellence in electrical meets the heart of hockey.
Christensen Communities, the name in active adult living. Enjoy retirement living without compromise. At Christensen, we understand that each lifestyle is unique. We are committed to providing choice through optional dining, personal services, recreation programs, and care plans to suit your current and future needs. Enjoy maintenance-free living and build new friendships in a safe, independent community. Large suites with full kitchens and in-suite laundry, on-site amenities, and so much more. Find out more today about our communities across the province at cdlhomes.com.
A solid financial plan is made up of more than just investments. Investments are an important part, but you need a more comprehensive approach. Vincent Pearson at Weird Pearson Akel & Associates Private Wealth Management understands that. He can help build a plan that includes retirement, estate planning, personal insurance, tax strategies, and yes, investments. Talk to him today and see the difference a real financial plan makes. Weird Pearson Akel & Associates. Call 780-988-4119 or visit weirdadvisoryteam.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. We've continued developing tools and are excited to announce our newest design, battery-powered nut runners. 4 models from 500 to 3,000 foot-pounds with more on the way. Learn more at cantork.com.
Sports Radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
A place to stay. Get your booty on the floor tonight. Make my day. A place to stay.
Con, man, you're just killing me with these tunes, and I love it. Such a great song. Welcome back to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440. Also coming to you live on Oilers Nation YouTube. It's fantastic. And hey, you know what? It's that time of year. We got lots more hockey talk. Spec will be by. We got 5 questions. And also we have playoffs. And now, so far, the if you want to call it the semifinals or the ALCS, NLCS, have been dominated by 2 teams who may be on their crash course to get to the World Series. But the Phillies and the Rangers are both playing exceptional baseball right now. As we get to the MLB playoff report, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home the no payments, no interest for 1 year on your furnace. Stay warm all winter. LegacyHeating.ca. As Levi Weaver from The Athletic, the windup with The Athletic, joins us. And Levi, man, last night was there's just something about the Phillies right now. Like, man, bright, you go down the list of that team and just different people show up at the right time. Like, I don't know, man, they look like a really hard team to beat. And then, of course, there's the Rangers. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but it sure looks like those two are on a collision course for the World Series.
Starting to look that way, yeah. We got 2-0 in both series. The Phillies. It's funny to look at the sort of the contrast between the 2 teams, right? So the Rangers kind of have this personality of kind of just boring, lethal baseball robots, with the exception of Adolis Garcia, who's a fun machine. But Seager, Marcus Semien, all pretty low key, guys that don't play with a whole lot of over the top emotion. And then you got the Phillies, who just look like a group of bartenders that got together and started a baseball team and are having the best time of their lives out there. It's been fun to watch both teams, contrasting styles for sure, but what they have in common is just both of them smashing the absolute mess out of the baseball. And you're right. They kind of look like they're on a collision course with one another for right now.
And you look at the Rangers, they haven't lost a game yet. And like, that's impressive to me. To sit, you're in the playoffs, you're playing the best teams, right? Like, it's not like you're beating up on the weak teams and the cellar dwellers. You're beating up on all the other best teams around. What has impressed you most about the Rangers' undefeated streak thus far?
I mean, just what you said, right? Like the Orioles and the Rays had they were 2 of the best teams in baseball. I think the other 2 that were ahead of them were the Braves and the Dodgers, and they're both out too. But for the Rangers to beat both of those teams has been really impressive. And then for them to go into Houston and take a 2-0 lead, like the Astros have certainly been a nemesis for the Rangers these last few years. And of course, the Rangers were a bad baseball team, and the Astros were good. So of course, the Astros are going to be winning more games. But that can get into a team's head as far as this team has beaten up on us in our division for years and years. And the Rangers went in and played like they were not afraid of the Astros at all. For them to perform that well against good teams. And then the other part is just that the bullpen has not been as treacherous as we had come to expect watching them this regular season. They did not have a good bullpen this year. And you know what? They've been fine in the postseason. They haven't been dominant, but they've been good enough to get the job done. And that's all they've needed.
So you look ahead to Game 3, and I think it's safe to say it's a must-win game for Houston. What do you make of the pitching matchup tonight? And what kind of chances to give Houston to at least put a little bit of a pause in this run of the Rangers?
I mean, Houston is too good to ever think that they're just done until they're absolutely, once the last out is recorded and they're basically like the Rasputin of baseball. They just keep coming back after you think they're dead.
Yeah.
Christian Javier didn't have a great regular season, but he's always been very good in the postseason. And the Astros lineup is pretty stacked. Yordan Alvarez continues to just smash homer after homer. So they certainly can't be ruled out. I think the wild card tonight is going to be, how does Max Scherzer look after a month off on the injured list? And can the Rangers get 5 good innings out of him? And if so, who do they go to next? Is that is it going to be a piggyback situation with John Gray? Will it be Andrew Heaney, Martin Perez? They've got some options to give them a little bit of length after Scherzer's done. But he's going to have to come out and hold this offense at bay, maybe hold it to 1 or 2 runs, unless the Rangers offense just comes out and, does another one of their patented 8 or 9 run games. But I think that's the wild card. Is Max Scherzer going to be effective, or is he going to struggle as he has been, out of commission for basically a month?
Well, and that's kind of unique. Can you think of a situation where you've had a guy out this long and then he comes back in the postseason?
There really have not been that many situations. I'm trying to remember who it was that laid this out. One of the writers for The Athletic, as I was going through, the articles for the newsletter last night, there was basically, I think, 4 guys that have started a postseason game after this long of a layoff, one of whom was Chief Bender. So it's been a while. There's been a few since then, but not very many. So no, not in recent history has there really been a good comp that we can look and go, well, it went well for this guy or didn't go well for this guy. There haven't been very many people do it.
No, not at all. And what's interesting, I look at the teams that are playing well, and then for whatever reason, and not that he wasn't a good player before, because obviously he was a very good player, but when you look at what Bryce Harper has done since joining the Phillies, Levi, do you I don't know if his personality matches there, something different. I don't know what it was. He's always a very good player, but his ability to elevate his play in the postseason in Philly has been unbelievable to watch. Like he's a guy who I think is really, not that he wouldn't have been before, but I think he's pretty much cemented himself as, getting into Cooperstown.
Oh, yeah, I think so too. And there are just players that turn it on in the postseason. I mean, on the Rangers side, you can look at Corey Seager, who's done kind of the same thing, right? I think he was a very good player, but something clicks in October, and there are certain guys that just perform better in the postseason for whatever reason. I mean, think back even in somewhat recent history, David Ortiz was that way too. It's not that he was a bad player during the regular season. He wasn't. He was very good. But then it got to October and it got to those clutch situations, and that's long been a topic of discussion, baseball analysts, right? Like, is clutch real? Is it just statistical anomaly? Is it one of those things where, they were just good all the time? You just notice it more now because, these are on national broadcasts and the stakes are so high. And I think there's arguments to be made for both. But yeah, I mean, Harper's definitely one of those guys that the lights get big in October and he rises to the occasion for sure.
Levi, I have to ask you, being in Canada, because there's lots of disappointment, and you know what? They had one win less than the 2 teams that are right now in the ALCS. So it's not like they have to have massive improvements, but the Jays couldn't match the power of the other teams come playoff time. That was just a fact. They, and Jays fans are obviously still upset about the Gurriel Marino trade for the offense that they gave up. Varsho, good defense. I think he led the MLB in defense or runs saved defensively or something, which is great. But if you look at the Jays, what do you think they need? Like, it's obviously they need a cleanup hitter. Do you see one that's a good fit for them to go get?
Boy, that's a good question. I haven't even really begun to turn my attention to free agency just yet. So rather than kind of try to come up with something off the top of my head, I think probably my answer is I don't know yet. But you're right that and I was a little surprised, honestly, that the lineup was what let them down, because that is a good lineup of hitters. They've got good hitters. They've got an offense that comports itself perfectly well during the regular season. So I don't know that I would worry too much about it. They probably could stand to bolster the lineup with a big bat or two, but it's not like they're 4 players away, right? Like they do have the talent. Their starting rotation was very good this year. Their bullpen was, frankly, the Rangers had a terrible bullpen and they're in the ALCS. So you can't really blame the Blue Jays bullpen
yes,
for what went wrong. It really was just that the offense didn't show up when they needed to show up. And, sometimes that's just an effect of the small sample size of the playoffs. And sometimes, as you mentioned, maybe they do need to go just grab another guy or two. As far as specific names, I have to look and see who's even coming up. I've been so buried in postseason coverage, I haven't even begun to look at free agency just yet.
Lastly, the Atlanta Braves. You talk about offense not showing up. Their best guys just weren't there. There's lots of people that were looking, you know what, the new format, they're sitting out for too long. To me, the easy solution is just make it 8 teams. And away you go. There's no buys anymore in baseball. You have 8 teams in each side. They get in, and away you go and play. Do you think that would be realistic? Is that something for the future? And do you think players would prefer that rather than have 5 or 6 days off when you really never have that for the previous 6 months?
Yeah, maybe. And I think probably what will happen is, now that the A's and Rays seem to have their stadium situation sorted out, commissioners talked about wanting to expand to 32 teams. If that happens, then it makes a whole lot of sense to just have 4 divisions per league, 16 in the AL, 16 in the NL, 4 teams per division. And then, the top 2 from each, or, maybe 4 wild card teams. So maybe that's the solution. I know that the expanded playoffs, there's been some complaining about that doesn't incentivize teams to go out and be the best they can be during the regular season, just kind of, save money and get close. And then if you're close, then, you can go out at the deadline and make some acquisitions. Doesn't really incentivize you to spend the money in free agency and go be good for the entire year. So I can see both sides of that argument. The thing about the Braves and the Dodgers too, I think there might have been, looking at the way that the Braves reacted to the Attaboy Harper thing getting out.
Yeah.
And it struck me, and I wasn't in the clubhouse. I don't know these guys, so I'm observing this from the outside looking in for sure. But it just seemed like the Phillies were kind of in their head after last year coming in and beating them. And then this year, oh boy, here we go again. But for them to make such a big deal out of such a fairly innocuous comment led me to believe anyway, they're afraid of what Bryce Harper's going to do.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't be. They're the Braves. They hit more home runs than anybody. Their rotation was weak because of injury, but they were on paper a better team. So for them to react the way they did, I think it was less about the playoff format and more about the Phillies had their number, which is not what it should have been. And to a lesser extent, the Dodgers, I don't know why their offense between Betts and Freeman kind of disappeared in the playoffs, but their rotation also was really battered by injuries, and they just did not have the horses that you would expect from a team that had that many wins in the regular season. So I think both points of view are valid. Sure, there could be some tweaking to the format, and maybe the time off hasn't been super beneficial to those good teams, but also every team that lost, there were some flaws that just got exposed, and I tend to think that it was more to do with that than it was to do with the format.
Levi, great stuff, man. We appreciate it. Enjoy the remainder of the AL and NLCS, and then, of course, for the World Series. Appreciate your time.
All right. Take care, guys.
That is Levi Weaver. Sick flow. I don't know if you've seen his avatars. This guy's got some sick salad going right now. I love it. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you on Sports 1440. You can text us 833-401-1440 in our Jiffy Lube inbox. We'll come back with 5 questions, and we got spec. Lots of thoughts. To me, it's a no-brainer. I'm starting Jack Campbell. Is there any reason why you would start Skinner? Let me know. 833-401-1440.
How exciting is it to have Sports Talk Radio back in Edmonton?
Tie game, bottom of the ninth with a full count. The kick, the pitch. It's high. It's far. It is gone. Walk-off home run.
Yeah, it's pretty much like that. Edmonton Kubota is excited to welcome back Sports Talk Radio, Sports 1440. We'll be dialed in for every minute. Get it done, and then some at Edmonton Kubota. All compact BX tractors on sale with 0% financing for 84 months. Stop by on 128th Ave or visit EdmontonKubota.com.
Oil changes on your schedule and bonus Air Miles reward miles? Only at Jiffy Lube. Right now, get an extra 50 Air Miles reward miles with your Pennzoil Platinum oil change. Jiffy Lube, keeping you moving.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
5-time Alberta Junior Hockey League champions, the Spruce Grove Saints are celebrating their 20th season in Spruce Grove. Be part of the action and enjoy some of the best Junior A hockey Canada has to offer by experiencing a Saints game for your next outing. Tickets range from $9 to $15 with free parking and some of the best food and drink specials in town. For more information on tickets and how you can become a partner, go to sprucegrovesaints.ca.
Hey everyone, it's Kelly here from United Sport & Cycle. United's annual Hockey Days sale is on now. Save up to 20% off on skates, 25% off on equipment, and 35% off on all Pro Stock sticks. United Sport & Cycle, your home of hockey for over 95 years.
No project too difficult. No problem too complex for Action Electrical. Edmonton's leading electrical contractor is a family-run business since 1973 and proud to offer complete commercial electrical services of the highest quality. When you need a contractor to design, build, implement, and maintain complex systems or emergency electrical assistance, help is here with the professionals. Book a service call at actionelectrical.net today. That's actionelectrical.net.
Ain't it beautiful? There's electricity in the air. Carrie Dahl here for Volvo of Edmonton, where the Volvo XC40 and C40 fully electric vehicle is now in stock, along with a great selection of Volvo T8 hybrid models. Experience the trusted Volvo quality and technology to power into tomorrow at Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners. Experience the difference.
Volvo of Edmonton.
When you live in rural Alberta, you know every job is easier with the right team behind you. And when it comes to your financial goals, you deserve a team committed to getting the job done. That's where we come in. VCU Financial, a division of Vision Credit Union, offers start-to-finish financial services delivered with life in rural Alberta in mind. Talk with our team of expert financial advisors about solutions for your financial goals. We'll get you there. Learn more at visioncu.ca.
Hi, Dennis from Weiss Johnson. Are you one of those people out there looking for something different to heat and cool your home? Weiss Johnson is Edmonton's cold climate heat pump specialist and would love to explain to you how Trane heat pumps are a reliable, cost-effective alternative for your home's heating and cooling needs. Order your Trane heat pump now and take advantage of the generous government rebates that are available. Trane, it's hard to stop a Trane. Call the most experienced HVAC company around with over 45 years in business. Visit wjcools.com today.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, the clear choice for all your auto, residential, and commercial glass needs. Call 310 Glass or book now at crystalglass.ca.
Sports Radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you on a lovely Wednesday. I hope you're having a wonderful day. It's going to get a little chilly soon, so get out and enjoy it. Go for a walk. We're talking highs and the minuses. What is happening? Get the hell out of here. We don't need that stuff just yet. Come on. So hopefully the forecasters are wrong. That's what I would like. Let's get to 5 questions, or sometimes we like to call 5 questions. Brought to you by The Brick, and their Scratch and Save event is on right now, where you can save up to an additional 40% off. Plus, there's over $115,000 in instant prizes to be won. Try yours today at The Brick and thebrick.com.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, Gregor, you kind of joked about it earlier on in the show, how quickly things can change. The second lineup for the Oilers looked pretty good last night, so let's take a look deeper. Can Fogle, Nuge, and Hyman have success long-term for the Oilers?
Can they? Of course. Will they? Different question. It's a good question. They look good last night. You know what? Edmonton's a good team. And so if you have McDavid and Draisaitl, they're going to get the toughest matchups. No question. Right? Randy Gregg alluded to it earlier. What people maybe have to realize is it's going to make the Oilers a better team this year because they're going to get the other team's best all the time. Like McDavid and Draisaitl can embarrass you on any given night. Or like Nugent Hopkins gets 3 points. Hyman gets 4 points. They got a lot of weapons. Right? They're the only team with 4 35-goal scorers last year. So I think they can. Right? Like Warren Fogle, can he do it for a few months? Yes. He's never been a consistent top 6 scorer. Right? I'm not worried about his consistency as a player, forecheck, all that stuff, but he's not a big time finisher. So I'm not expecting it to be an overly productive one long term, but could he get hot for 2 months? 100%. Lots of guys have done that. But can you stay hot the whole year? that's a different story. So I'll say, you know what, Cons, I think it could last for a month.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, and I don't think Warren Fogel's going to be asked to go out there and make these beautiful sauce passes, drop it on the sticks of Nuge or Zach Hyman. If he can go out there and fill the role, I think that Hyman and Nuge can do the rest. So I think there is possibilities for it. Fogel would be the X factor for me if he can play well, win battles, get in there on the forecheck. Then why not? And like you said, McDavid, Draisaitl, they're going to take the toughest minutes. So. Yeah, I think that it could be a line that could have some success. Maybe not all year long, but extended. Question number 2. You kind of answered already. You're going back to Jack Campbell tomorrow night in Philadelphia. So let's change the question a little bit here. Who goes in there Saturday? Are you locking in Stuart Skinner, or is there potential Campbell could make it 3 straight starts?
Now, see, that's the good question. And that's where, and we got a lot of text guys that, hey, what's the reason why you would start Skinner tomorrow? It's because they maybe don't, is it easier to play him against Philly and Winnipeg? In theory, on paper, yes, but that doesn't mean it is. If Jack Campbell plays well, this is early in the year, I think I would go to Jack Campbell again on Saturday, but then regardless, then I would play Skinner the following game. So I think I could give him 3 starts in a row for Campbell. I wouldn't go longer.
Yeah, the next one would be Tuesday in Minnesota against the Wild. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to it for Campbell. It is early on in the season, and if he starts playing well, I think you feed him those starts and hope it can continue. Stuart Skinner will be ready when he gets the opportunity. I'm not locking in Campbell for Saturday, but if he has another strong performance, yeah, I'm totally for it. Question number 3. So last night in the NHL, there was 9 games on the schedule. 3 of them started at 7 p.m. Pacific time. It was really nice to have some late night hockey to watch. Tonight of the NHL schedule, there's 2 games. They'll both be over by 7 p.m. Pacific time, give or take 5-10 minutes. Seems to be a trend that the NHL goes very heavy on Saturday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and the other days kinds of drops off. Do you think they need to try to balance it out just a little bit, or am I overreacting here?
I actually think they should go dark a few nights. I think that the reason the NFL is so exciting for people is it's once a week and it builds up. And I know there's one game on Thursday, but for the vast majority, fans wait. Their team plays on Sunday, and then they wait a week and they get all excited and boom, they play. If the NHL had even one night with no hockey, yeah, people aren't used to it, but trust me, you would get used to it. Especially if it's a set night. I know Mondays, there's no NHL hockey, for instance. Pick the day, I don't care. Now, I know it's a little bit more challenging because of all the rinks and everything like that, but I think you could do it. It's something that I would, at least for certain months, it's something I would consider. So, no, I don't have an issue with it. There's still a game available. Sure, it sucks for the Mountain Time and Pacific, but I'll say this. Our time zone for sports is arguably the best time zone. Think about it. The early games are early enough where if you want, you put on the PVR, you get home, boom, you can catch up quickly. And then there's other games. You're in the East Coast. None of your games start before 7, majority of the time. And then if you want to watch, if you're I want to watch the best player in the world. Well, none of the games start until 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock Eastern. Right. So I actually think Edmonton fans are lucky. They're in one of the best time zones to be a sports watcher. But if there was no hockey for one night a week, actually, I think it'd be good. Talk to your kids, talk to your girlfriend, Cons. You'd find other things to do. And I think people would just get used to it to be better.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind a little more balance. I know it's tough, like you said, with rink availability and trying to balance these things out. It's never going to be perfect. You're always going to have people that are upset. But I wouldn't mind a couple extra games tonight, maybe one on the West Coast, so we had something to watch. We'll see. I don't know if that'll ever happen. I don't know if I'll ever go black for a night, but maybe Sundays. Let the NFL have their day. Question number 4, Gregor. Who is more likely to fight back and make it a series in the MLB Championship Series, the Diamondbacks or the Astros?
Oh, really good question. I'm going to go with my heart because I loathe the Astros. I probably should let it go, but I can't. I haven't been able to let it go yet. So I will say the Diamondbacks. I don't think either team comes back to win, but I think the Diamondbacks are plucky. They'll find a way to at least win game 3 to make it look close for a short period of time.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Astros. I don't love them, but they've been through this before. They've got the experience. It just takes one for them to get going, although what the Rangers have done, not losing a game in the playoffs, is unbelievable. Some might say they're due to lose. We'll see if the Astros can get it done. And my final question for you today, Gregor, Jean-Claude Van Damme celebrates his 63rd birthday today. We know Struddy's a big fan in a ton of movies, but I'm not going to ask you about that because he was also a kickboxer. So if you could see him take on another action star in a real fight, who do you want to see him going up against?
You know what? I'd like to see him kick Steven Seagal's ass. That's the guy. I don't know why, but just something about Seagal. He just kind of annoying. I never liked his acting. Number one, thought he was kind of terrible. He was a little bit of an over actor for me. So Steven Seagal all day long. You?
I tried to go with one that might be a good size matchup, and looking at it, Jean-Claude Van Damme is 5'9" and 3/4. I think Sly Stallone is 5'10". If this is what if I'm able to believe his online
Stallone
measurements.
is 5'10".
Yeah, so I'm thinking Stallone.
Is he wearing lifts?
Well, you think he's lying?
Well, that seems. I've seen him in lots of other places, man. He doesn't look that tall, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's just always beside big guys, but it kind of more looks like the Tom Cruise height.
Yeah. Tom, I think they use a lot of trick photography or videography for him to make him look bigger, but I'm going Stallone versus JCVD.
Ooh, okay.
We could get a good battle there.
Yeah. I like it. That's 5 questions brought to you by The Brick. Quick, hey guys, Campbell was good, but do you think his performance is repeatable? It looks like he has a lot go right for his style to be successful. Plus, you're never sure if any given shot on goal, even a rolling puck, will be saved or not. Thoughts? Sam from Vancouver. Sam, I think you're overthinking it. 5 games that Campbell has played this season after training some things mentally and physically that he worked on. He has a .950 save percentage. He's allowed 1 goal in 4 of the 5 games. He had 1 game against Vancouver. That's the outlier. The outlier isn't the good game against Philly so far out of 5 performances this year. I don't care about last year. Last year's done. It's gone. He's not changing his equipment. It's not a new city for him. It's total different. I'm only evaluating him on what I've seen since September 25th. And what I've seen since September 25th on Jack Campbell, the Vancouver game was the outlier. The other 4 games, he's been excellent. He's made 42 saves on 43 shots. He's stopped 32 out of 33. He stopped 35 out of 36. He stopped 33 out of 34. So, yes, it's repeatable, in my opinion. Now, I'm not saying he's going to give up 1 goal every game. Of course not. And he might have a game where he gives up 3 or 4. It's not always just on the goaltender. But Jack Campbell, I think, out of 5 appearances this year, he's been excellent in 4. And the other one, he wasn't as bad as the save percentage said. So that's kind of how I see it for sure. Hey, guys, Sunday should be the dark one. Saturday's the big night or hockey night. Possible, but keep in mind, there's a lot of American team weekend games they love the weekend games. New York, they love their matinee games. So I don't think you're going to get rid of Sundays. Right? You can have busy Friday, busy Saturday, busy Sunday, take off Monday. All right? The odd time somebody, because a lot of the American teams, like, watch how many times the Rangers will play back-to-back Saturday, Sunday at home. There's no travel. They don't mind it. I think it happens 6 or 7 times. So I actually think Monday's the one that makes the most sense. I know Gregor, I don't want it dark. I want to have 1 game. And that's fine because that's what you're used to. But if for one night you didn't have hockey, honestly, you'd be amazed at what you could find to do for one night. It's 1 night a week. Right? Maybe you watch Monday Night Raw. Maybe watch Monday Night Football. Maybe is The Bachelor on Mondays? I don't watch it, but I think it is. I know Conzer's a big fan. It's on Mondays, isn't it, Cons?
Yeah, I think so.
There you go.
And if it's not, you record it and watch it Mondays.
Sure, exactly. So there's lots you could do. You could binge watch some of your favorite shows that you don't get to watch when the hockey season's on because you're watching all the hockey. Or you could communicate with your family. Now, I know that, hey, man, that might be stretching it, but you could think about it. Let's get to Connor Halley and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Edmonton Kubota. Well, right now, stop in any of their compact BX tractors you can get for 0% financing for 84 months. Can't get a better deal anywhere else. Shop online at EdmontonKubota.com or go in-store just north of the Yellowhead on 156th Street.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
2 games in the NHL this evening as the Capitals travel to our nation's capital, Ottawa, taking on the Sens. That one gets going in about 5 minutes' time. And then later tonight, it's a rematch of the 2008 and 2009 Stanley Cup Finals as the Red Wings host the Pittsburgh Penguins. Game 3 of the ALCS goes tonight from Arlington as the Rangers looking to go up 3-0 in their series against the Houston Astros. First pitch set for 6:03. 3 games in the AJ this evening. Spruce Grove hosting Lloyd at 7 o'clock down at Grant Pier Arena. Elsewhere, Sherwood Park in Olds, and Bonnyville hosting Brooks. The Jacksonville Jaguars have signed Canadian quarterback Nathan Rourke to their 53-man roster ahead of Thursday's game against the New Orleans Saints. Starter Trevor Lawrence is currently questionable with a knee injury, and Mecole Hardman is heading back to the Kansas City Chiefs. According to reports, a 25-year-old receiver is returning to the team he won 2 Super Bowls with as part of a late-round pick swap with the New York Jets. Hardman signed a 1-year, $4 million with the Jets this past offseason. And from the world of soccer, Brazilian forward Neymar tore his ACL and meniscus while playing in a World Cup qualifying game. The 31-year-old will need surgery. No timetable has been set for his return. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet and Spruce Grove Saints General Manager Rob Skocdopole. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Full-service provider of heavy haul transportation and rigging at the highest level. Next Gen Transportation.
We're developing new and innovative ways to transport oversized and overweight equipment to remote and challenging locations.
Our Next Gen team leads with a wealth of experience and expertise. But most importantly, we put safety first, so everyone gets home safely.
We also take great pride in supporting our local community programs and teams. Good luck to everyone this season and in the year ahead.
Visit nextgentransportation.com.
How exciting is it to have Sports Talk Radio back in Edmonton?
Tie game, bottom of the ninth with a full count. The kick, the pitch. It's high, it's far, it is gone! Walk-off home run!
Yeah, it's pretty much like that. Edmonton Kubota is excited to welcome back Sports Talk Radio, Sports 1440. We'll be dialed in for every minute. Get it done, and then some at Edmonton Kubota. All compact VX tractors on sale with 0% financing for 84 months. Stop by on 128th Ave or visit edmontonkubota.com.
Storm chasing sounds exciting. Most days, though, it's a lot of standing in the rain. But you know what's exciting and dry? PlayAlberta.ca. With hundreds of new live tables, online casino games, and instants.
PlayAlberta.ca. Go all in on excitement. Sign up today with promo code Casino50 and get a $50 welcome bonus. Remember, if you gamble, use your game sense.
That's awesome. Thanks, Franco. You're a lifesaver.
So when's the photocopier going to be fixed?
Today.
Really? That's impossible. Nobody does same-day service.
Corporate Business Solutions does.
Nobody believes it, but it's true. Corporate Business Solutions provides guaranteed same-day service to all CBS customers. CBS is your industry leader in sales, leasing, and service of multifunctional office equipment. Call Franco Sorgiovanni's team of sales professionals at CBS for all your office equipment needs. Call 780-490-5600 or visit cbsca.com.
Trevor is lonely. Yeah. So Trevor threw a big party and served salad.
Nobody came.
Mike is also lonely.
Yeah, it sucks, man.
So Mike threw a big party and served Will Hawk beef jerky.
Go Will Hawk! Go Will Hawk!
Everybody came! Will Hawk beef jerky. Because you don't win friends with salad.
Will Hawk is the home of Alberta's best beef jerky.
In Leduc, Spruce Grove, and West Edmonton Mall.
What you eating there?
Oh, just a Leon's $10,000 shopping spree in a Chevy Colorado.
How do you plan to get all that from a Big Mac?
Monopoly Double Play.
Monopoly Double Play?
First, I peel unpack, then I peel an app. 2 ways to play and win.
So basically, you're potentially holding the most lucrative Big Mac ever?
No, I'm potentially eating the most lucrative Big Mac ever.
Now you can double play at McDonald's for more ways to win millions of prizes. While supplies last, chances of winning change as prizes are claimed. Chances of winning McD's app prizes based on time of code entry. See rules at participating McDonald's in Canada or at mcdpromotion.ca.
You're a smart person, but even smart people make dumb decisions. Not having a will? Dumb. DIY wills? The D stands for dumb. Make a freedom decision with freedomlaw.ca.
The Verhage Law Team at freedomlaw.ca offer customized legal solutions like wills from just $600 and bundling with things like power of attorney and personal directives to save money. So smart.
Make the smart decision to protect you and your loved ones with freedomlaw.ca.
Every Albertan wants a strong and secure retirement. We all want to make the most of it. That's why Alberta's government is exploring a new possibility, an Alberta pension plan. You might be wondering what's in it for you. The new plan could mean higher benefits for seniors and bigger paychecks for workers. As we explore this opportunity together, Alberta's government wants to hear from you. It's your pension, your choice. Learn more and have your say at albertapensionplan.ca. A message from the Government of Alberta.
Your Co-op Grow team are your local experts because we live here too. Our agronomic specialists stay up to date with the latest research and technology to help support your entire farm operation. Talk to our team for advice tailored to your farm's needs. We have recommendations to help you optimize your crop yield and quality while enhancing the health of your land. Co-op, we're all growing together. Here for your farm, here for your family. Learn more at coop.crs/farm.
Portions of this hour brought to you by eWell. eWell gives you more than premium quality electrical products. Are you ready to elevate your projects? Contact eWell to discuss how they can partner with you for success. EWEL.ca.
Sports Radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. I left my home in Georgia, headed for the Frisco Bay. 'Cause I've had nothing to live for. It look like nothing's gonna come my way. So
Just after 5 o'clock. How are you? Welcome to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, live on Oilers Nation YouTube. Appreciate you watching, listening. Maybe you're streaming the show at sports1440.ca. You've got the app, whether it's the radio player app, iHeartRadio, Stingray, wherever you download us, listen to the show. We appreciate it. Maybe just listen to the podcast. It's all great. Thank you very much. As always, presented by our title sponsor, PlayAlberta.ca, where all of the revenue stays right here in Alberta, giving back millions of dollars to the province. That's PlayAlberta.ca. We got lots of text to get to. We did ask the question. Many of you answered, which I like. What reason would you have to start Stuart Skinner tomorrow? We'll get some of those answers, and we'll find out what our guest thinks as we get to the spec report brought to you by GS Construction, and they are hiring right now, baby. Go to Indeed.com, look up GS Construction. You want to work for a great company, great benefits, great culture. They got it all. GS Construction at Indeed.com. As Mark Spector joins us from the city of brotherly love in Philadelphia. Spec, the Edmonton Oilers, I think there's only 5 guys on the ice today, so it was like a option, not even optional. It was just a skate if you want, and they took the day off. I don't know if they went traveling or sightseeing or whatever they did, but I got to start because it's such a unique story, Spec, and I had Mike Rupp on. He's like, dude, I don't know if I've ever seen this. Like, you just don't see one guy dominate a team to the level that Leon Draisaitl has here for the last 5 years. In his last 12 games, he has 22 goals and 34 points against Nashville. Like, it's ridiculous that going into the game, it's like, wow, this guy's going to get 3 points. And then he gets close or more than 3 points.
Yeah, and his shooting percentage. Like, his shooting percentage in Bridgestone Arena during that time was like 38%. And it got better last night. He went 40% last night. So, I get from Sportsnet a detailed statistical breakdown of each game before it's played. And in the package yesterday was all the similarities, the comparables around the league of guys who dominate teams, right? Yeah. It's Matthews against Montreal. It's Pasternak against Philly. It's McDavid against Calgary, right? None of them are close.
No.
Okay? Nobody's close to Draisaitl against Nashville. Like, there isn't one that's even in the same ballpark. It's out of this world, man. We asked Leon after the game. He hates talking about it because it basically means he's got to blow his own horn, which he doesn't want to do. So I don't have an answer for you, pal. I know what's going on. I can't tell you why it's going on.
Yeah, well, they're pretty skilled, no question about it. And, Nashville is a pretty decent defensive team too. But you know what? They just don't have an answer for him. And you know what? Before the game, I liked the decision to load up the top line. But there's some people saying, I'm not sure they have the second line. But man, the second line was their best line last night. Fogelheim and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, which would lead me. There's no reason to think you would change it. Like, Philly doesn't have two dominant lines that you're like, well, geez, we got to split up McDavid and Draisaitl to counter them. You're like, no. We can keep going like this for a bit.
Yeah, I don't see why you change much. Like, this is a team that's been trying to find itself early in the year, and it found itself last night. So to start changing forward lines around doesn't make, it's just not a very traditional way of thinking. And I think the other thing, Jay, we always kind of think of, oh boy, they're desperate. They're putting McDavid and Draisaitl back in the same line. It's the old thing. I mean, Dave Tippett did it. Todd McClellan did it, right? Whenever times get tough, you put those guys together, and the rest of the team is maybe weaker, but your top line is stronger.
Yeah.
But I think we're looking at a better hockey team here. I think we're looking at a team that maybe is catching up. And when you do put those guys together, I think there's more team underneath it that can still contribute. They're not, the forward lines aren't bereft of talent when those two guys are together. There's still lots left. They showed it last night.
Yeah. Wow. And they should be. Like, if you want to be a championship caliber team, you got to be more than just two players. And they got some balanced offense. There's no question. They were fifth in the NHL in 5-on-5 goals last year, and obviously first in overall goals because they led in power play and they led in shorthanded goals. Probably doesn't get talked about enough at how well they were shorthanded, scoring anyway, not necessarily defending last year. And then my other question, Spec. So to me, I start Jack Campbell, but then I asked the question, give me a reason why you think they could start Stuart Skinner.
I know the reason, and I think they will start Stuart Skinner. I don't know this, I don't have any inside information, but I know that Woodcroft had hoped to play both guys on this trip. He said so before they left, right? Okay. Before they left, neither guy had a good game yet. So he thought, I'm giving each guy a game, and I want to get his guys. He wants to get his guys going. We're not at the point in the season yet where both guys are up and running and playing real well, and it becomes, whoever wins and plays well stays in the net. We're not there yet. Campbell's had one good start. Skinner hasn't had one yet. So I think this is a coach still trying to get his goaltenders going here. The team played a lot better in front of Campbell, but Campbell was very good last night. Now, while the team is going pretty well, it's time to put Skinner in, get him some confidence. And we're going to get to the point, Jay, where the guy who has the big performance plays again the next night. I just don't think we're at that point yet.
Yeah, and that's fair. My thing is, when I just look at, and I'm only looking at this year, because last year is irrelevant to me. It doesn't mean anything. If I just look at this year and I look at regular season and preseason, Jack Campbell has a .950 save percentage in 5 starts, and Stuart Skinner has an .843. Right. So, I know Campbell's only quote played one good game in the regular season, but man, I thought he played really well in the preseason when he faced the other team. Like Seattle, he faced their whole team. Right. He was on the road in Calgary and they had both top 6 lines going. So, he's faced some decent guys. Like, he's just looked more comfortable. Now, I can see the argument if they want to go to Skinner because it's like, hey, it's Philadelphia. But if Skinner plays okay and they win, do you stick with him, or does he have to play great after that Campbell performance for him to get a second consecutive start?
Well, listen, I think you're jumping the gun, and I also think you're making my point. You're right. Skinner hasn't played great yet. And let's go back into the last couple of starts in the Vegas series. He didn't play that good then either. So I think they need to build Skinner back up. This is going to be a team that needs both goalies. We're not going wire to wire on Jack Campbell here. So I think the coach, the more you state those numbers to me, the more I feel like I got to get Skinner in the net here and get him going. I got to get this player playing better. You know, that's to me, that's where they're at. They're trying to get this goalie going. They've got Campbell's got one good start in a row. It's not like he's got a whole bunch. The other guy needs one now. So the more we talk about this, the more I'm telling you, I'd put money on Skinner playing tomorrow, but I've been wrong before.
Yeah, no, it's fair. When you mentioned that the coach said he wanted to play both to start the trip, then if he told them that, then he's probably got to stick with it. Although, you know, I can understand, hey, Campbell stopped 42 of 43. He was excellent. I know Leon Draisaitl and Hyman and, you know, other guys played well, but Jack Campbell, I thought, was the most important Oiler. Maybe not the best, but I thought he was the most important player last night for them. I saw some people say, hey, is that the greatest goal McDavid's ever scored? I don't think so. I'm sorry. That doesn't beat the Columbus or the Ranger one. Like it's the most unique goal he's ever scored, right? Obviously that, you know, I would laugh because my son and I were watching the game and you know, he saw the goal and then he wanted to replay and he watched him go down and up. And you know, young kids have to learn how to go down on their knees and get up fast. And I was like, this is unbelievable. Because he's like, Dad, why do we do that drill? I said, that's why you do the drill. And it was hilarious because you know what? You never know. And obviously for McDavid to do that. And I really don't know what Carrier was doing on that play. I still don't understand, you know, how he somehow missed the puck and he just went right by it. But it is one of the most unique goals you will ever see.
Yeah, it's a unique goal. Sure, I'll give you that. And obviously it takes skill for McDavid. I mean, every guy in the league can spin around and get back up. It's called being a professional skater. I don't come on this show to minimize anything Connor McDavid does. I've learned long ago there's no money in it. You know, he's the greatest player in the game today. That's all there is to it. We all know that. That's a fluky goal all day long. That puck should have been out of the zone. McDavid is going north while the play is going south. There's absolutely no explanation for what happens with Carrier, how that puck gets under his stick. I don't know what he did. When I saw it live, the guys in the press box, we were all like, holy man, what a play by McDavid. But then when you watched it again, you realized, McDavid was the recipient of a horrible play by the defenseman, and he took the puck and did the most he could with it, scored a goal. Again, I'm not minimizing McDavid, but that play doesn't exist if the defenseman doesn't execute a pretty routine play, Jay.
Yeah, no, I would wholeheartedly agree with you on that. Philip Broberg, that might have been... I thought he played really well last night. And, you know, this is a young guy and, you know, as he continues to develop, but he was way more noticeable and not for bad reasons. He was just way more noticeable. And, you know, I think here's a player who's starting to maybe realize that, you know what, I can skate at the NHL level. I can be an elite skater at the NHL level and I can maybe be a little bit more assertive at times. Yeah,
I think you're right. Like he's caught between that, you know, no news is good news stage of a young defenseman, where you want to say, it's like a referee. When you don't talk about the ref, it's because he was good. He's kind of at that point in his career. But I think there's tons more. And I think the Oilers think there's tons more. And I suspect that he will eventually get onto Ekholm's pairing and Ekholm will help him derive much more. We're going to notice him more and for the right reasons. Hey, he's going to make a mistake. There's going to be a goal in his net. That happens. But I think right now we're looking at a guy who the game ends and you're not sure he played. Then you look at the stat sheet, his numbers are awfully good. Even when the first two games, Broberg, I thought was pretty steady. I think that'll get better. I think it'll go north from here with that kid. I like what I see in the first three games. It's very, very early here. But, you know, Desharnais hasn't been in the lineup yet. And the reason is Broberg hasn't opened the door for him to get in the lineup. That's why.
Mark Spector joins us. Spec, Leon Draisaitl became the all-time franchise leader in power play goals for the Edmonton Oilers last night, 128, passing Glenn Anderson and Ryan Smith, who had 126. My question to you is, out of the 32 teams, where do you think Draisaitl's 128 ranks the Oilers out of 32?
Okay, wait, what's the question? Like, how many teams would he lead in the league with 128? Is that what you're asking me?
Like, no, how many? Yeah, his 128. If you rank all 32 teams and say, okay, their franchise leader in power play goals has this many, where would 120? Would it be 5th? Would it be 30th? Would it be 20? Where do you think it would be?
Oh, my goodness. That's a hard question to answer. I'm going to say that there can't be that many more because this organization scored a lot of goals, though the power play was never the greatest calling card for the old Oilers the way it is for the new Oilers. So I'm going to say that my number is going to be 10. He ranks 10th.
10th. Tied for 21st.
Wow.
Yeah, he's tied right now. He's tied with Arizona's Shane Doan, who has the Arizona/Winnipeg Jets franchise record with 128. Now, Doan played 1,540 games.
Played 1,500 games.
Right. So but I'm with you. Like, it's amazing. The Oilers had one of the greatest offensive teams ever, but up until Draisaitl, well, they still would have been, actually they would have been ranked 22nd because the previous record was 126. Right. Yeah. And that was actually 2 below Shane Doan's 128. It's funny, for an organization that's had so much offense, they've never really had a dominant power play guy until now. And you look at where Draisaitl is this year, he's probably going to score another at least 15 goals on the power play, which would move them up to, that would put him 18th by the end of the year. Then if he scores another 15 or 20 the next year, then you're getting, like 15, 12. But there's some guys up here that I think Ovechkin's at 299.
Okay.
Right? Merrill Lemieux at 236 with Pittsburgh. Luke Robitaille, 210 for LA.
Right.
Gordie Howe, 209 for Detroit. And Joe Sakic, 205 for Quebec/Colorado. Those are the top 5. And then really, like, Brett Hall had 195 for St. Louis. He only played 744 games for them. Like, he was a killer in St. Louis on the power play. Active guys, Steven Stamkos, 195 for Tampa Bay. So he's likely going to become the 6th player to have 200 power play goals for one franchise. And
how many games has Draisaitl played in the National Hockey League here?
Leon Draisaitl has played a total of 641. He has a very good chance that, if now he signs an extension, even if it's a 4-year deal, that's basically 6 years left for Draisaitl, right? This year, next year, and then 4 more. Let's just say he signs a 4-year deal. 6 years, so there's another 480 games at the pace he's on. Then he would become another guy in that 200 range, right? He'd have to play his whole career to, I think, to catch Lemieux for second. I don't think he can catch Ovechkin. It's ridiculous. He's at 299, right? And he's played 1,341 games. Draisaitl's, even if you double Draisaitl right now, he'd be at 256, and then he'd be at 1,300 games. So,
the point I'm making here is he's at 650 games, and all the guys we're talking about as comparables are generally 1,000-game players.
Some guys, but like Brett Hall, no. Mike Bossy, no. Dave Andrechuk in Buffalo, no. Steve Larmer leading the Blackhawks at 153 in 800 games. Tim Kerr in Philly, where you're at, he had 144 power play goals and 600. Like, he had 16 more power play goals than Draisaitl, and he played 40 fewer games. So some guys were just really good on the power play.
No, Tim Kerr is a specialist. In fact, one of the things Oilers fans forget is those 2 years they beat Philly in the Stanley Cup final. Tim Kerr never played a game.
Yeah,
right. That was their best goal scorer wasn't in either one of them, and one of the series went 7 games. So those are the things the losing team remembers and the winning team forgets in a hurry.
Well, Spec, we'll see what Tortorella has to say tomorrow. Get him fired up in your press conference.
He's out in Voorhees. I'm not going to see him. Yeah. He's out in Voorhees at their place. I'm going to go see the Oilers at the new Spectrum. So I won't see him till game time, but I'll do my best post game. I promise.
Oh yeah, especially if something post game happens. It's probably easy to wind up old JT. It'll be fun.
Yeah. I'll do my best Larry Brooks impression.
Get out of here, F you. I like it. You'd be the first guy to tell you that, eh, Spec?
Oh, you betcha.
Have a good one.
All right, man.
That is Mark Spector in the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construct. That is crazy. The Oilers are tied for 21st right now. Their all-time franchise leader in power play goals is 21st amongst the 32 franchises. It's a little surprising to me, considering how many elite scorers they've had over the years. Now, Draisaitl obviously is an elite scorer, and very quickly he'll be at 150, and then he's probably going to be at 180. And you know what? I think if he signs a minimum 4-year extension, you're talking at least 200 power play goals for him, at least. And then I think he could push to challenge Merrill Lemieux for second place. Be hard to catch Obi. Quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk lots more hockey in the community on the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440 and live on Oilers Nation YouTube, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Actions speak louder than words. Japa Machinery Group puts your construction plan into action with XCMG construction machinery you need. Available for rental or sale. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
You'll absolutely love the new and app-approved Booster Juice app. Download it today and start earning berry points for app-amazing rewards. Apply your points for all of your Booster Juice favorites for free. From booster balls to smoothies, snacks, and combo deals, even digital gift cards. Plus, receive personalized offers that appeal directly to you. The new and app-approved Booster Juice app. More than just online ordering. Download it today. Details at boosterjuice.com.
Hey everyone, it's Kelly here from United Sport and Cycle. United's annual Hockey Days sale is on now. Save up to 20% off on skates, 25% off on equipment, and 35% off on all Pro Stock sticks. United Sport and Cycle, your home of hockey for over 95 years.
Weekends were made for Oil Kings Hockey at Rogers Place. Family fun that's second to none, starting at just $20 a seat.
This Family Fun Sunday in Ice District, your Edmonton Oil Kings get a rare visit from the Seattle Thunderbirds.
There'll be face painting, a kids' fun zone before the game, and more.
And at every home game, score all new kids' food combos for $10 or less. The value is king size.
Edmonton Oil Kings, Seattle Thunderbirds, Sunday afternoon at 4.
Great family entertainment at Rogers Place starts at just $20 a seat. Save on day of game pricing now at oilkings.ca.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is sounding the call. Don't struggle through winter with a furnace you can't trust. For maintenance before winter strikes,
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
for furnace tune-ups and repairs to give peace of mind.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
Or to scrap your old furnace for a brand new high-efficiency one.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
And with no payments, no interest for 1 year on your new furnace, it's gotta be Legacy Heating and Cooling.
At The Brick, we're not just proud of this city and its rich sports history. We're proud partners of it. The Brick started right here in Edmonton over 50 years ago. And when we're not cheering on the Oilers and Oil Kings live at the game, or the Edmonton Elks under the bright stadium lights, we're in our stores, providing everything you need to cheer them on in your home. The Brick, supporting Edmonton sports teams and fans since 1971, saving you more.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
At Toyota, we believe your vehicle is more than just your ride. It's your trusty sidekick. So make sure it's ready to go, because there's a 100% chance of winter this winter. And you can take those odds to the bank. Not the snowbank. Trust the experts at Toyota for premium winter tires, batteries, brakes, and more. Beat the winter rush and book an appointment today. Visit shoptoyota.ca or contact your local Toyota dealer.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. Try their new one-topping garlic or spicy garlic epic stuffed crust for $21.99 for a limited time, only at papajohns.ca.
Sports Radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Oh man, this song's bringing back some memories. Are you kidding me? Woo-hoo. Oh, shout the devil, true story. Welcome back to the UL Studios. When that song was really hot, I was probably playing. Well, back then it was Bantam, whatever that is now. Was that U15? I think, yeah, U15 now. And so I'd have a deal with my father. We would go to the game. I could listen to my music in the way to the game in the truck, and cassettes and whatever. And then on the way home, we would listen to his music. That was kind of the deal. So he introduced me to Elvis Presley and, the Big Bopper and so many others. I love that whole genre. But he got to the point where he actually quite liked the crew, and he would sing along to a lot of their songs. Oh man, that Shout at the Devil and Bastard. Oh, it's bringing back memories, man. Sick album. I love it. That's a long time ago. A lot of fun. Welcome back to the Jason Gregor Show with Connor Halley on Sports 1440. Busy show. You know what? Everybody's paused. Everybody's like, hey, you know what? The Oilers are good, which of course they are. Oilers are a good team. Right? They'll be fine. I like what Randy Gregg said earlier. He goes, they need to expect that most nights are going to get the other team's best, and that's going to make them better, which should help. Now, let's go in the community, brought to you by United Cycle. And Hockey Days is on right now at United Sport and Cycle, where you can save up to 35% off. United Sport and Cycle, your home for hockey for over 95 years. And a team that, you know what, I bet for most times they get the opposition's best every night because they have been the best team in the North for a long time. The Spruce Grove Saints, who are in action tonight against Lloydminster. And we are now joined by their general manager, Rob Skocdopole. Rob, welcome back to the show, man. How you doing?
Hey, not too bad, Jason. Thanks.
Before we get, I just wanted to give me a quick little scouting report on the signing you guys today. You had a big defenseman in Willem Turwood, 6'3", 205-pound left shot D-man.
Yeah, Willem came to us a few days ago and has been in since Sunday night, since practice Monday and Tuesday, and hopefully he's ready for tonight's game. Something that will add a little bit of size and power to our back end. We think we got a lot of puck skilled guys, offensive guys, and I think Willem is going to add a little bit of stability, shore up the back end, block some shots, and just be hard to play against.
So you look at, you guys are 6-7 to start the year, which, it's a really high standard in Spruce Grove. You guys have set that for a long time. I know you had a lot of new faces, Rob. Does this test your patience? Because like 6-7, other teams would be like, oh my, hey, it's not bad. But for the Saints, maybe it's a little bit below. How have you approached the first 13 games?
I think that you just nailed it. Patience is one thing, and certainly trying to stay focused and just try and steering this ship through this little bit of a unique situation about the start. But nothing to worry about. I think we've added some good pieces here in the last few weeks, and we shored up the back end on Saturday by adding Willem, and it's been different. Obviously, the start that we're having, going to a full interlock schedule where we're playing a lot of South teams. We got through the showcase at the end of September, and we find ourselves kind of in the middle of the pack, and we're not used to it, but we played hard, we worked hard, maybe some puck luck like here and there. A lot of credit goes to Ryan and Boyd and Brandon, who are our coaches, are every day just trying to get better and trying to do some teaching. But certainly it's been one where patience is probably the right word.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, you mentioned the schedule. You guys have tweaked it a little bit. So you're going to play not as heavy of it against the same teams all the time. What was the reason for that, or is it just more early in the year?
Yeah, it's a full interlock schedule, meaning that there's no North-South division.
Yeah,
it's 1 to 16 or 16 teams in the AJHL. So we're going to play everybody twice, home and away, which is a 60-game schedule. Then adding the 2 games at the showcase, just some random teams. So we get to a 62-game schedule. It'll be seeded from 1 to 16. Obviously 15 and 16 place teams will miss the playoffs, and the first place team, the second place team will get the bye, and then it's a little bit of a free for all. So the mindset's a little bit different, where there's some teams in the North that will travel a long ways and spend 26, 27 nights in hotels and away from their hometowns, and it just, I guess, it strengthens up where there's some more teams in the South that need to do some traveling, and we're hoping that instead of seeing Brooks only once throughout the year, we're going to see him twice, and be able to attract some more fans. And same thing with Okotoks, and it's the same things when we go on the road too, to the South. Instead of going once, we're going to go twice.
Okay.
So hopefully there's a little bit of a marketing genius behind it.
So now, how much more cost is this for each organization?
Well, it's maybe a little bit more. Obviously, the Canmores and the Okotoks and the Brooks are going to be comparable to the Grand Prairies and Lloydminsters and Fort McMurray's.
Okay.
Whereas Black Falls and Spruce Grove and Olds, who are more central, and obviously Sherwood Park, is our travel basically kind of maybe stay the same. Maybe there's a few more overnight stays, some expenditures towards hotels and meals. But all in all, I think we're up for the challenge, and I know the league was voted in by the governors, and I think we're looking forward to, the inaugural year or the first year where this is going to happen. So we're hoping that it works out.
Now, it's very early in the season as we're joined by a GM of the Spruce Grove Saints, Rob Skocdopole, but 6 of the top 7 teams would have been in this South Division last year. Is it just an anomaly, or is for whatever, is there a little bit more strength down South right now?
Yeah. You know what is, I think this year more than ever that what we're finding is the leagues or the teams in the league have done a great job in recruiting. There's a lot more parity in the league like this year, where the teams are a little bit tighter. Maybe a little bit more travel for the North teams to start the season. But certainly it'll kind of average itself out, kind of equal itself out as the season goes. But certainly, like you're right, if you look at the standings, there's a lot of the power teams in the South are, in the upper half of the league standings. And it's funny you said that, because I just talked to Adam Surgery, GM from Sherwood Park today, and we just mentioned the same thing. The only team in the North is actually Sherwood Park, kind of hanging around.
Yeah.
Top 2 or top 3 spots. So, but more parity, which is good throughout the league. Every game is meaningful now. And certainly in the standings, where you try and want to finish as high as you can.
Well, I kind of I'll be honest, I was quite intrigued when I read the rule changes this season. And, it's going to be 1 to 14 who make the postseason. And obviously, basically 3 is going to play 14, 4 is going to play 12 kind of thing all the way down. And then 1 and 2 will get the bye. And then I'm assuming 1 just plays the lowest remaining seed. Or is it a set bracket? That's the one thing I didn't get confirmation on.
No, it isn't a set bracket. It's the lowest
seed?
team
Okay.
is going to play the high seed team. Yeah. So.
Okay. Now, Rob, for your club, obviously you were looking at and improving your defense. Did you just feel has that kind of you given up more than you would normally like at this point? Because I look at your goals for against, like you've only allowed 32 goals. You're allowing less than 3 a game. To me, it looks like it's more you're not scoring. So what's the issue with the lack of offense so far?
We've had some close games of the 7 losses, and usually you run into a hot goalie or a team that's able to defend with a 1 or 2 goal lead late in the third period, and it's just been tough for us. But I know the guys, the mindset for this week was to be able to just keep pushing the pace, work on some offensive systems that maybe is going to be able to spread the offensive zone and try and move pucks and try and get pucks to the net, which is fine. I mean, we've had one goalie in Ryan DeCook for most of the year, and he's an 05 that has come in and proven himself to be a really good starter in our league, and he's held the fort for as long as we got some help in Beckett, Lankow. So I think the defense still has to get the puck up to the forwards and hold the blue on the defensive side and try and generate some offense from at least from the red line north.
When you mentioned earlier, Rob, you're kind of chuckling about your patience for the organization. And it is one when you get accustomed to something and you can't just yell and scream and just start making moves all over the place. So, it's always good to kind of maybe have to get out of your comfort zone a little bit. What have you learned as a GM? I know it's only been, a month or so in this, but it is definitely kind of something you haven't experienced as a GM of the Saints.
Yeah, and it's been a learning year for sure. We had a little bit of a comfort zone with the last coaching regime like that we had, and we had a good understanding on how we're going to be able to move not just into the season, but at certain times of the season. We had 10 game segments where we would adjust and make some adjustments with the offensive side or the defensive zone or power play, whatever. So we're into we're game 14 tonight, and we made some adjustments and we got through the meetings and, certainly challenging and making sure that the coaches are kind of on the right path and give them some space, let them try and figure some things out. But certainly in types of personnel at this time of year, there's some moving parts that we're always trying to better, either whether it be a defenseman or whether it be a forward. So we're always trying to better the team, and maybe the odd time is a little bit of an adjustment time just as a team standard. Obviously Ryan's brought in some new ideas, and I think it takes a little bit of time to gel with 8 returning guys from last year, with the roster size of 25. Certainly, remaining on course and making sure that coaches have the right tools to succeed, and the message to the players. The players haven't changed. Obviously, we did a great job of recruiting. It's just taking a little bit more time than we expect. But certainly, over the next few weeks, we should see some good results.
And you mentioned, we talked about just the one, but you've added a few guys here, have you not? It's not just the one. You've made a few other acquisitions.
Yeah. So Beckett Lankow is from Medicine Hat was, with the rule of October 15th, where the WHL teams have to be down to a certain number, it made room for Beckett, and we want to continue on Beckett's career here at the junior A level, and we certainly have done so. We added Ashton McNally from Seattle, who kind of fell under the same thing with the 20-year-old limits of the WHL. So he's come in, certainly bolstered up the back end with a 6'3" defenseman in Willem, and we're not done adding, we're not done moving guys. We're just trying to do the best thing forward. But hopefully in the short term, we'll stabilize the group and stick with our 25 and kind of mold and kind of gel and see what happens.
Rob, great to talk to you again, man. We'll see you soon. Appreciate your time.
Awesome. Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it.
That's Rob Skocdopole, the GM of the Saints. Check it out tonight, Spruce Grove Saints. They're taking on Lloydminster. I love the changes in the AJHL. Shakes it up a little bit. It's one division now, 1 through 16. The top 2 get a bye, and the bottom 2 are out. So 14 out of the 16, which is what it's always been, just 7 in each division. Now it's 14 in the 1. And there's a little bit more travel, but you get to see, I think this is better for the teams. You get to see some of the better teams more often. Fans in Sherwood Park, fans in Spruce Grove, fans in Okotoks, Brooks, wherever. You get to see the better teams each year more often, and I think that's better for fans. Quick break. We'll come back. Gregor, Connor Halley with you. Got the fantasy report to get to and more on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
How exciting is it to have Sports Talk Radio back in Edmonton?
Tie game, bottom of the ninth for the full count. The kick, the pitch. It's high. It's far. It is gone. Walk-off home run.
Yeah, it's pretty much like that. Edmonton Kubota is excited to welcome back Sports Talk Radio, Sports 1440. We'll be dialed in for every minute. Get it done, and then some at Edmonton Kubota. All compact BX tractors on sale with 0% financing for 84 months. Stop by on 128th Ave or visit EdmontonKubota.com.
Are you looking for an affordable business, group, or team outing this season? Why not catch the excitement of a game with 5-time Alberta Junior Hockey League champions, the Spruce Grove Saints? With extremely affordable group and suite packages available, and some of the lowest food and drink prices around, Saints games are the perfect night for your next group event. Get your group in on the action. For more information, visit sprucegrovesaints.ca.
Rodeo clowning felt like an exciting opportunity. Boy, was I ever wrong. The bulls. So predictable. But you know what's exciting and unpredictable? PlayAlberta.ca. I can bet on any sports game, play online casino games anytime, and buy lottery tickets anywhere.
PlayAlberta.ca. Go all in on excitement. Sign up today and get over $100 in welcome bonuses. Remember, if you gamble, use your game sense.
At Fountain Tire, save big during our Road Ready sales event until October 21st. Who wouldn't want up to 25% on select tires and a bonus of $50 off any service? A lizard, maybe? Or a ghost? Restrictions apply. Financing available. Book your appointment at fountaintire.com.
We've got your local sports covered all day. Fox Sports has you covered tonight, after 9, and all weekend long. Be sure to check out the incredible NFL coverage on Sunday. Often imitated, never duplicated. We're Sports 1440.
There's 2 seasons in Alberta, winter and construction. During these days of traffic barricades and slower commutes, GS Construction reminds you those crews are improving our communities. They're rehabilitating and upgrading Edmonton's infrastructure all across the city. When you see the barricades and run into a traffic backup, remember, the crews are there to help. Drive slow and be patient. Help make our city better and join the GS Construction team. See what they're hiring for on Indeed.com. GS Construction, laying the groundwork for your community since 1974.
Our cars are our lifeline, and every now and then we need to take care of them too. Cochran's Automotive services your vehicle with pride. When you need to fix it up, bring the whole family fleet. Junior's WRX, Mom's MPV, Dad's 1500, or even Grandpa's old 88. All makes and models are welcome. Trust Cochran's Automotive to professionally repair your family's pride and joy. They've got you covered for Volkswagen diesel timing belts too. Call 780-452-5001.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Fall is this, and this, and finally back to this. The place for all the action is the brand new sports bar at Century Casino's Edmonton location. We're talking tons of screens, wall-to-wall TVs. Check out their daily food and drink features and an all-star menu of all your favorites. Century Casino Edmonton's brand new must-see sports bar. Every day is game day at Century Sports Bar and Lounge.
You can't predict exactly how your harvest will go. So here's the next best thing, InvigorResults.ca. Featuring localized and replicated trial results, you can see how InVigor canola hybrids could perform in your fields. But more importantly, the results demonstrate our consistent track record and undisputed leadership, giving you the confidence to flex your harvest muscle season after season. Go to InVigorResults.ca to see results in your area today.
And it goes a little something like this.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Leading Edge Physio, professional athletes use aquatic therapy, radial shockwave, zero gravity treadmills, and pneumatic recovery devices for rehab. Leading Edge Physiotherapy offers those to you because sports shouldn't hurt. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
Sports Radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Gregor and Halley with you. Lots of text flying in our Jiffy Lube inbox, 833-401-1440. Get to those in a sec. But first, we're going to get to our fantasy report brought to you by Next Gen Transportation, heavy haul transport provider, 100% locally owned and operated. And right now, but guess what? They're so busy, they're hiring. Keep expanding. Need great workers. If that's you, learn more at nextgentransportation.com. As Connor Halley, we got a few questions coming in. Hey, guys, in a keeper league, would you trade Wyatt Johnston for Bo Byram in fantasy? Ooh. Cons, what do you think?
Trading away Johnston for Byram?
Yes.
And that's the one. Oh, man. I like Wyatt Johnston. I mean, 24 goals last year as a rookie, Gregor. Just 20 years old. I like the upside there. So I'm not too sure. Obviously, I mean, position of need would play into it. And, Rowan Byram, if he can play out the way we thought he would as a draft pick, I think he's certainly a guy you got to take a look at. I don't know if I do it. I think I still have some concerns with Byram staying healthy and making sure he can play a full 82 slate of games. But if you are stronger up front, I think you might consider making that one. Like I said, a big fan of Wyatt Johnston. Like we said, 24 goals last year as a rookie, has good size. I like that player down in Dallas. So I don't think I'm making it unless I'm really thin on the blue line, in which case, twist my arm. Maybe I'll make that move.
So I wouldn't do it. I like Bowen Byram a lot. I think he's a really good defenseman. My concern is he's already had some injury issues in his career young. Wyatt Johnston. Now, Wyatt Johnston I need to see more from Wyatt Johnston before I'm ready to anoint him as great as he's going to be. I really like both of these players, but the injury concerns for Byram is why I would hesitate to make that deal.
Yeah, exactly. If he can live up to what we thought he would be coming out of the Vancouver Giants organization, Gregor, there's a lot of upside there and a lot to like from him. But career high played games was last season with 42. We got to see him stay healthy. if he can do that, there is a lot of upside there. But right now, I like Wyatt Johnston. Like I said, though, unless you're super thin defensively and you're loaded up front, I don't think you need to make that move.
No. Okay. That's totally fair. Now, I know yesterday, Cons, you sent me an email. I didn't get it till today because it was sent to a different email that I don't check very often. So that was my bad. And we were talking about fantasy. And so now it's now Wednesday for the NFL week. And you saw the news of Nathan Rourke. Are you expecting Trevor Lawrence not to play? Or is this Jacksonville just might go with 3 quarterbacks on the roster?
Yeah. I mean, hey, better safe than sorry, right? And I wonder how much it weighs into it that you want to reward Nathan Rourke for the work he's put in. You put on that roster, obviously coming off the practice squad, a little bit nicer payday, get him ready just in case, worst case scenario when Trevor Lawrence isn't going to go. I think he will. You know, he was able to finish up the game against the Colts, and the guy's a competitor. He does not want to miss this one. So I think it's just in case you need Nathan Rourke. You're there. You have him. Potentially he dresses as one of the game day starters, and he's not that scratch. But I think it's going to be probably right up to kickoff there. But I would fully expect Trevor Lawrence to find a way to get into the lineup. They'll brace up the knee. I'm sure he'll have some legal painkillers and be good to go.
Legal. I like how you say that. Legal painkillers. But you know what? There's 6 teams on bye, so it's not like you could go out and look to say because I have Lawrence on my team, but I also have Joe Burrow who's on a bye. Right. So, I'm looking and I'm like, oh, geez. It's not like there's a lot of other quarterbacks you can look at, say, I'll claim this guy on waivers. Right. There just isn't many. Like, I'm talking going 3 deep at that point. So I'm just hoping he plays and gets through the week.
I'm with you, actually. I have that exact same situation where Trevor Lawrence has to be starting. My league, like I said, I've told you in the past, it's only an 8-team league. So there are alternatives. Kirk Cousins is the guy I like to go for in fantasy typically. He is on the waiver wire, except he plays the San Francisco 49ers on primetime. So if we know anything about Kirk Cousins in the past, he's struggled on primetime. Going up against that Niners defense, I don't necessarily love it. I have a couple other options I'm toying with, maybe Geno Smith. Tyler Lockett changed to questionable, the receiver for the Seahawks, so he could be down a target. Maybe that opens up Jackson Smith-Njigba, their first-round pick this past spring in the draft. And I also have Matthew Stafford available. So perks of playing in an 8-team league, Gregor. There's always nice options on the waiver wire.
Yeah, I think so. Now, speaking of fantasy, for hockey players, keep your eye on Josh Norris. He's back in the lineup. First game tonight. Already scored a goal. It was a great goal and a great pass from Batherson. But if Norris can, if people think it's more mental for him to just get over that with his shoulder and he's feeling good, that guy is a heck of a player. Like really good player. So that's somebody to watch for right now. I see, to me, if it was in daily cons, we talked about this yesterday. For daily, I think Norris would be pretty good right away because I think he's going to get hot. He's going to be playing on adrenaline for the first few games. Then we might see a dip because then all of a sudden now your adrenaline goes away and now it's like, oh man, I haven't played a lot of hockey here in the last year and a half. So now you got to play catch up a little bit. So, that can happen sometimes for guys. So, but I think Norris for the next few Senators games, that's a guy to be looking at in daily face-off, daily fantasy for sure. So, and Ridley Gregg in Ottawa, he's already got 3 apples. He's off to quietly a very good start. He's not one of their main guys, but man, that guy is a buzzsaw, plays hard. Somebody else you should look at for sure.
Playing with Tarasenko as well, right? So that's always a nice little pick up there, playing with a guy who can bury the puck or has the history of Tarasenko. That can always be a sneaky way to help your daily fantasy team. Pick the third wheel type guy, and you can certainly benefit with a couple apples.
Well, and the other guy to look for, man, watch out for that Pittsburgh. Malkin line is killing it right now. He's got another goal early on. Erik Karlsson, Apple, they scored the first shift in the game for the Penguins. And Detroit, man, I'm not sold that this is going to be Detroit's year. I didn't pick them to make the playoffs. I think everybody's like, oh, you're just going to keep improving. Well, no, it's easy to go from 12th to 10th. It's a lot harder to go from 10th to 7th, right? And that's what I think the struggle is going to be for the Detroit Red Wings. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you missed the show, my goodness, it was a great show. Ken Dryden, fantastic. Randy Gregg was unbelievable. If you're a hockey, you want to listen to his stories about being in the Olympics. He actually went to the Summit Series in Russia as a 16-year-old in the crowd. He had some great stories about Messier, Paul Coffey, Glenn Sather, Yaroslav Pozar story was amazing. So you can check that out anywhere you get the podcast. That was hour number 2. Or you can just go to jasongregor.com and all the individual interviews are there. We will preview the Oilers and the Flyers tomorrow. Also, Connor Halley, Sean Merriman.
Lights out.
Pretty good player. He will join us on the show tomorrow. Talk a little NFL with him. So on behalf of Cons, Declan Kruger, and all of our guests, I'm Jason Gregor. Let's get to the Command Sports Center update brought to you by Fountain Tire. Once the weather hits 7 degrees for 7 days, it's a good time to get your tires changed. It's not the snow that matters. It's the temperature change that matters as a signal for your tires. FountainTire.com.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
2 games on the ice tonight. After 20 minutes, Sens lead the Caps 2-1. And midway through the first, the Penguins up on the Red Wings 1-0. The Oilers off tonight. They take on the Flyers tomorrow at 5:30. Game 3 of the ALCS goes tonight from Arlington as the Rangers look to go up 3-0 over the Houston Astros. First pitch in about 10 minutes time. And 3 games in the AJ. Spruce Grove hosting Lloyd. That gets going at 7 down at Grant Pier Arena. Sherwood Park in Olds, and Bonnyville hosting Brooks. We're done for the evening. Fox Sports back at 9 o'clock in Carius, and Douglas back tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. with guest host Ladislav Schmid. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
This is Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the